And thought I had screen.
I have 4,200 subscribers on YouTube.
You're see, this was you punching down or me punching up, right?
Well, not really. I mean, I don't see.
I'm kind of brand new on Foxhole. I started like a week ago, week and a half.
You've never done streaming before, or you were streaming elsewhere?
I streamed for a few weeks on YouTube. I mean, I had a couple videos way back, but nothing crazy. I became a streamer about 3-4 weeks ago on YouTube, and then 2 weeks in, Methods turned on my Foxhole. All right, so I'm gonna see. This was you punching down or me punching up, right?
Well, not really. I mean, I
don't know if you could hear that because I'm not sharing. Am I sharing my screen? No. All right. So I'll wait till the exact hour.
I'll watch the screen from my TV, so you don't have to show me.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, because I don't even know how I would do that. So we're in the. Let's see if anybody's trickling in. About 90 seconds to go. I kind of like to sort of do punctual, if that makes sense, but not overly freaked out about it. Like, in other words, I try to mark the second of where it starts. You know.
That's fine, yeah.
But I always not always, but often I realize I left something out and I go, oh, oops. And you hear, like, do you ever listen to Reasonable TV? Hi, kids.
Occasionally, not often. I mean, when I can, yeah.
Do you ever see Black Yoda on the friggin' Friday Night Show and the Shot Clock?
No, I want to watch. I like that guy though. He's very intelligent.
Stephen Ty Turner. He's fantastic.
Yeah, so I want to have a conversation with that guy actually.
Oh, you two would be.
He said something very interesting the other day, and I'll mention it maybe.
Yes,
it was actually a good way to put something.
He never doesn't say something interesting. And the other day, so I want to steal from him, but I think he wants us to all say this. He really wants us focusing us, or he's giving it us very friendly advice. Focus on the 5 senses and the throat and the heart chakra. In this current battle, that's kind of his guidance. At least it was the other day.
So he's on YouTube too. He has a YouTube channel.
I don't know. So all my favorite YouTubers that I knew about disappeared all at the same time. Yeah, about a year ago, right? Mm-hmm. Coming up on. All right, so see what I'm going to do, just so you can hear, and I hope this doesn't break things. I'm going to share my screen. And I'm going to go over to. So this is the first time we've used this intro. This is episode 2. So let me just slate it with this.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Epistemology for Fun and Profit, where woo meets goo, exclusively on thefoxhole.app.
Welcome everybody into the Foxhole. I said exclusively on the Foxhole, but we made an exception for today. We broadcast it out also onto, I've already forgotten, I think YouTube and DLive. Oh, is it actually on YouTube Live? Let's check real quick before we introduce our guest. This is a person who you're listening to. Let's see, DLive. Just make sure it's actually running. I don't really need to hear that. It's good. If we just get something going there. Yep, cool. And then, what did I say the other thing? Oh, YouTube. Oh, it comes in as Bread Pill Weekly there, but that's okay. I didn't change the title there. Audio? Oh, it comes in as, all right, cool. So now that I've done a sound check and we've done the slate at the beginning and my show notes are on my phone for reasons because of technology. You're here where woo meets goo. You're in the woo and the woo is in you. Episode 1, we covered dualism and monism, and I contested that both are wrong. And now I'd like to get straight into our very first ever on this. Oh, I'm doing the infinite. Let me stop sharing so I don't do the infinite screen of doom. All right, so now I think, let's see, if I don't even know. When I did that, did you see the intro that I had said, or did it only show? Yeah, it probably did.
It did. No, I didn't see it on the. I wasn't looking at the screen.
That's fine. So hopefully this, I think I have a way to check and see. I think this is going to work, and I'll check on my phone here in a second. And you've got the big screen you said you're watching. If it looks pretty wonky, and I'll watch the chat for 5x5s. Let me go over here to Foxhole app chat. Anyway, this is our guest, Our Cloaked Unseen World. I came across him on the Foxhole, and what is the Foxhole, you might ask, if you're on YouTube or over on DLive? It's where everybody went when there was purginization about a year ago, just hideous purginization off of all platforms, and just you knew you were over the target as a viewer if all your channels disappeared all in the same week, and you knew you were over the target as a content provider if your channel got banned by Susan Wojcicki. And so I met or got to know and started lurking and watching Our Cloaked Unseen World, who's our guest today. And I don't know, say hi and whatever you want to say, and we'll kind of.
Yeah, I actually got this new shirt yesterday. I went to this Bigfoot conference down, and my neighbor came over and asked me about it and said, "You want to go with me?" I was going down there. I said, "All right." So I go down there, and that guy Cliff from the Finding Bigfoot was there. So I started talking to him, showing some stuff. That guy, he tripped me out. He was saying how he didn't like to watch videos. I said, well, how could you not like to watch videos when your show is Finding Bigfoot? How are you going to find Bigfoot? And you guys showed videos on your show of Bigfoot. You have to look at video to see which ones you want to show on your show.
Right.
And he said that he just didn't like to watch videos. And like, he was like, you just tell he definitely doesn't think that Bigfoot can do the things I was saying that he could.
Well,
and I think my evidence I was showing him, I actually think I got his attention a little bit though too.
Oh, that's cool. Well, so
I was showing him the Bigfoot phasing through the wall of my kitchen.
I was gonna ask, like, some people, hopefully some people might not know if they're seeing a replay or live right now, a little bit about that. Like, did that surprise him? And can you kind of tell us, because I've learned from you a little bit about that. Do you want to kind of tell us that I think it might surprise some people what Bigfoot can do?
Oh yeah, I mean, Bigfoot can do anything. It's just they can change themselves energetically into phase into a tree. They can phase through the wall. They can make themselves into a ball of energy, like lightning ball, like St. Elmo's fire type. Your light body. They can take their light bodies. They teach their young that at a very right out of the box, and that's like that was one of the things I told Cliff. I said, okay, so say you're in say you're born into a world where the first thing they teach you is how to do certain things, like take your light body, like materialized things that you imagine and so forth. Just like they could, who knows what world's going to teach what, and because everything's indoctrinated into us from the get-go.
Right.
The second we learn how to talk and walk, the first time. That's the other thing that was kind of interesting, but I'll bring that up later. But so I was talking to Cliff guy, and I was showing him what Bigfoot could do, and I was trying to show him the light images I have of like you could chase the shape of a body and the head on like a tree of light, like it's just pure light around, like you could just totally see the shape of the head. And I have example after example after example of that, and I was showing him those, and he's like, let's just he was coming up with all the auto program responses that are like, that's just a lens flare, that's just overexposed lens or camera, or and it was just every excuse. But what actually is going on is our minds will go to it's weird because people don't even understand there's stuff we learn and we don't even know we learned it because of the 100 monkey effect. They could, somewhere on the other side of the world, they could be putting stuff in your subconscious through that monkey effect,
right?
And you don't even know it. So you like pull from the whole of everybody's consciousness. You get on one vibration, and then you're going to pull from that vibration, and it kind of in a way it blocks you from the other vibrations from pulling from those. Some people are able to pull from all of them, some of them from like a couple more than the other ones. That's one of the things people don't realize either, that like how much is up in our minds that has been put there, not by something that we physically with our two eyes or ears heard or saw.
Right. And I see Two Rivers in the chat. I think is responding to the very top of this topic, judging from the timing, a demonoid sounds like. And I before we answer exactly that, I want to kind of spin it as I bring it to you. I might classify some of these, I don't want to oversay this, but some people might say cryptids or go in that direction. And I want to kind of know your take on that as well.
Such as?
Well, like cryptids is all the different shape changing type, like, you know, the dog man, for example.
They all can do that. A Bigfoot can turn into a dog man.
Okay, now that's news to me. Like I did not realize that. Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
And I have it on video. I mean, I have video of where you can one frame it looks like a dog man. Next frame it's changed his face into a Bigfoot's face.
Well, I've seen. Okay, so let's segue into your videos because I've seen a lot of them, and I've also seen in your chats where a lot of the times, some people say, "Oh, I'm seeing a few of them," and it's almost like you have to relax your eyes and soft focus, and you finally get it. And I would say I'm hitting about 50-50 at this rate on your videos.
Yeah, it takes retraining of your eyes, of your mind, you know, and you have to like slow the video down. It's the biggest part, you know. And that's why like I have so many videos I could just throw up and put on my YouTube channel, but then I know that people will watch it in regular speed because they're not slowed down, and they won't see anything. I mean, people that do see things will, but not like new people coming to the channel.
And I've also seen in your chats where
I try to keep it to like I do release content like that, especially when I'm shadow banned, like, or when I'm got a strike. Like right now I can actually start to stream again. I'm gonna stream tomorrow.
Right.
But I was just listening to 412 on Zoso's show, and they've been doing the same thing to me lately. Like they'll stop a strike, they'll put me back up, and then I'll stream like 1 or 2 times, then they'll pull an old video off and they'll give me a strike for the old video. And then they'll shut me down again for 2 more weeks.
Well, and so a little bit about how kind of I landed here. I was jokingly trying to get banned from YouTube the first week I ever started being a YouTuber, which was 3-4 weeks ago. And then I realized, no, I shouldn't just frivolously get rid of that, because I'm hearing you and Zoso and 412 talk about how let's just keep siphoning people off, right? So I kind of stopped thinking, well, let me see how fast I can get banned as a new YouTuber. I thought it would be a fun joke, but I think it's more useful to actually respect it as far as the people there.
I can't even leave a live stream up now. I can live stream and I'll be fine, but then if I leave it up for more than like a day,
right?
They'll hit, and I think they are hitting me for Tesla Dove song. But it's kind of odd because Space Shot's interview is still up with me and we played the song, so I can't really say that's the reason, because it's still his interview on YouTube with me for 3 hours is still up, and it's almost got like 7,000 views over there. And I think it's got about the same on BitChute and Rumble too.
Is there anything that potential new viewers, a lot of people here would know about the Tesla Dove song? How was it created, or what was?
She just created it. She just
awesome
out of the blue sent it to me in a DM. We started talking. You know, the first time I met her was in 412's chat, and like saw the name Tesla Dove, and I knew a lot about Tesla. And I don't think she didn't realize who I was at the time. And then now, you know, she's like one of my favorite, you know, one of my biggest supporters out there. And I had a lot of influence in her song, you know, in regards to, you know, she didn't write it specifically for me. She wrote it, you know, and added me in there, and Methods, you know, and she did a shout out to me, Methods, and Red Pill 78 in the song, and in roundabout way. Methods name is named, but not like as a name, like
right.
She says we have the methods, and then but she's
That's
talking
cool.
about him.
Right, right.
She does say we have the Red Pill corruption detector, so she's talking about Red Pill 78, and then she says, you know, we'll uncloak it all, and then walking through walls is from me, from, you know, the patent.
So I've looked up the patent, and I've looked at the picture and the footprints, you know, the way it spaces it out, and it says depending on your height and your gait, how you would calculate it. One thing
well, here's one thing that people overlook too, is there's also a story about there with some guy that didn't have computers back then, and all he did was walk like that, and he was able to do the St. Martin. Talks about him. That's the one I would pay more attention to, because those footprints, unless you got the actual program,
right?
And I wouldn't would bet that everything in that patent isn't correct in
Right.
regards to the formula.
Right.
But
But
the other part probably is because it's just saying in general how he walked.
Right. And you do you still walk like that everywhere you go, or are you
every time my hands are free, like I'm not carrying something,
mm-hmm.
then I do, yeah.
And you were walking like that in that photo, or right as you got to the place where that one photo where you could see like a light being of some sort.
It was just light pouring around me.
Light pouring around, yeah.
And I was doing that, I'd been doing it for a couple months at that point, but I had done it just right before then. I had just got done walking and walked up to the group of people that were standing there from walking the lap around a SETI. I don't know if you've ever been to a SETI. And it's a long lap to walk around. And then I got done, and then I walked up to them, and then they took the image. They were out there singing and dancing, and we were holding hands and we were dancing. And that image was actually when we were dancing around. Somebody took it, and it was like as we were dancing. So yeah.
Very cool. Well, so the kind of point of go ahead.
You could show the I guess, are you able to share the screen? I mean, we could share the image in case people.
Yeah, if you do want to share your screen, I turned that on.
Yeah, I can do.
Or I can do it. Either one might be faster if you do.
What's this optimized video clip? I haven't seen that before. I'm not recording, so it's not mine. All right, let's see. All right, so yeah, let's see. The image would be. I have it on my Discord, or actually, it's on my YouTube channel. Actually, let's go there.
So funny because I just learned that you have a YouTube channel. I was so anti-YouTube for a long time. I was just watching you on the Foxhole.
Yeah, on my community page, I have a lot of good stuff.
That's awesome.
But the image is on here too.
While you're looking for that, I want to say what Two Rivers says in the chat. He sees what emanates off of angels, that energy, quote, for lack of a better terminology, I think. He also says, I do not try to deliberately see spirit beings on purpose. If God opens my eyes to see it, then so be it. We're busy enough in our own realm. That makes me think of Jacob's ladder. You guys might know the story where, Jacob, several centuries, it's really thousands, probably a couple few thousand years ago. Oh, there it is. Yep.
So here it is. Yeah. So, that's the image. And we were we were holding hands, and her arms in the air. And we're just dancing around, acting foolish.
Nice.
And, it was pretty cool. That was actually during Lionsgate of 2020 when this was taken.
So the channel here is G_Ross, and I need to remember my tagline. I am the underscore. But there's 3 shows. One has never aired yet. That's going to start next Wednesday. We'll talk about our upcoming projects here in a minute. But this is the second episode of this show. I just want to remind the viewers that it's called Epistemology for Fun and Profit, where woo meets goo. So that's kind of really one of the main reasons why I thought if we could have a discussion, it might be best suited under that banner. Because what is epistemology? And I'm just going to butcher it. We could look it up on Wikipedia, but I'll kind of save us the trouble.
Define it for yourself.
Say again?
We could define it. I would define it for yourself.
Yeah, the way I use the word is it's the study of how you learn things. Like, how do we know what we know? So I want to kind of use that as a baseboard to ask you some questions because, well, and we haven't touched, I mean, to me, when I look at some of the content that you create or the way you bring to discussions, in addition to being a really good karaoke singer, I've learned about you recently. Is, obviously the shapeshifters that we just talked about are something that you've been really discovering a lot about, and how to walk in the way that the patent, but we didn't really talk about maybe where some of that technology came from. Do we want to hit on, it could even be who is Q? And I know, I'm going to try to play the Art Bell and just kind of be, I'm compelled by your theory of who is Q. I don't even know if theory is the right word. You have kind of a line of pretty solid, I don't know, do you want to kind of take over? Or do you want to save that for a little deeper in the interview?
Yeah, whenever. Yeah, probably deeper in the interview.
A little deeper, okay. So as we get down in there, so I want to know, but what I wanted to do was just kind of show a little bit about what I think I've figured out that you're interested in. And then, so as we get into that, From your perspective, this is the first, I think I'm hitting you with a question you really don't know that I'm going to ask.
Yeah, I don't know any other questions.
You don't know any other questions. Here's question number 1. What is experience?
In regards to
Just as a definition, like if you were to say to somebody, maybe a young person, what we mean by the word experience, like as a concept.
Experience would be like things you've done, places you've gone, things that you've perceived, things, whether it be in the esoteric realm,
Esoteric?
Esoteric realm, or just in the regular realm, your dreams. I mean, even a dream I would consider experience. Just, everything that basically anything you imagine is experience, is the simplest way to put it. Because you imagine something, that's an experience, experiencing something. So I mean, I'd leave it at that, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's so you hit on a couple of things there. You said it could be dream, imagine, or sensory perception, and you even said something you perceive. Is there a difference between perception and experience? Because you kind of use them.
Well, yeah, I mean, because experience is going to change the way you perceive things.
Okay, all right, that's awesome. You hit on what I like to kind of think is the sort of feedback loop, right? You experience something and then your perception changes, but you experience something due to how you perceive things, right?
Yeah, and then you so easily want to deny certain things, especially when you're first, like, especially with what a lot of the religious community definitely doesn't like what I do and show, and if I actually have a that guy, what's his name, he does God, I forget his name, Spiritual Revolution, I forget what his name is. Red Pill's had him on before. I actually have a video thing of him on David Nino Rodriguez. I have this guy's name, what's his name, I can find out when I go to his channel, but he actually came out. I actually should play. I want to play this actually.
Yeah,
this would be
please do
for you. Actually, let me just play because his name's on. Larry Gaithers is his name.
I vaguely remember that name, and you also mentioned Rodriguez, which has been coming up and I need to go check if he's who I think he is, because I can't.
Yeah, the boxer guy. He's a good guy. I think he's. I don't think he's a shill like Jordan thinks he is. Jordan Sather was in the foxhole calling us all shills. Me, Diddy,
yes,
QAnon, and we're just like. What? And Lori helps him on, or Debbie. I think even Debbie Roush. I mean,
can I just say something about that? Because I remember when that happened, and I was like, I kind of like put a pause button on Jordan at that time. I'm like, I got to take a break from him, and it took a few months, but when I got back to him, he was back to his normal awesome self and a little bit more circumspect. Like, he doesn't, and he'll even say it nowadays. He's like, he doesn't rush as quick. He kind of is a little more circumspect. I find it. Yeah. But see, and at that time, he was sort of calling shills other people than the list you just named. But it was the set of people I was watching. And I think there's some crossover back then. Obviously, now that I've been sort of lurking on Foxhole for 10 or 11 months. Okay, yeah.
This guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so listen to what he says about the Q movement. And everything he says, this is what made me kind of like chuckle in a way, but not really chuckle. It's like, it kind of concerned me in a way.
Yep.
In regards to, just because I knew how wrong he was and how this guy is a brilliant guy. I mean, one of the most intelligent people you'll ever meet, especially in regards to casting spells with words and knowing the English language. And
does he do quantum grammar at all?
You'll just listen to what he said.
All right.
Well, I mean, I don't know what he does like in regards to that. He just knows how how words cast spells, but everything he says is false here, because I've never, just keep in mind before I play it, I've never I don't follow any church, any religion at this point. I've gone to church back in the day, so I don't have a pastor that I go to. I don't know the Bible inside and out. I don't know all the everything he says is so un-me, but he describes me because he talks about anybody who opens portals or that kind of stuff,
Okay.
or it'll really get your attention. It
So,
really,
so just to make my life easier, I'll say right before you play this, obviously I'm a pretty open-minded, friendly crowd, but I probably go to a church very similar to what I might be about to hear. So I preached on Daniel 12, 1 through 4
there's nothing wrong with the
last
church.
Sunday.
I'm
Right.
not saying
Okay.
anything wrong with that. I'm not
Yeah.
saying there's anything wrong with church. I'm just saying that he puts such a
Yeah.
such
Well,
a
and I want you to feel completely comfortable. Like I know what I'm doing, but so you mentioned earlier that you really didn't know much about me, and so I'm starting to slip that in a little bit into the conversation. I think I could summarize it this way. I really like to check things against really old vetted literature, let's say, like Genesis, the first few chapters, like a Jordan Peterson kind of approach might work if you've ever seen him.
Yeah. Oh, well, while you're talking about
Yeah.
Genesis, I have on my community page, which is kind of relevant
Yeah.
to what we're talking about. Let me read that quote about it's Genesis 26:27.
Okay.
So we'll read that because that's talking about how we control things.
Okay. Yeah. This would be awesome.
Yeah. So it's really relevant.
You have now hit the sweet spot of what this show is intended to be, and you're getting it there within the second episode. So that's awesome.
So then God, okay, so this is Genesis 1:26-27. Then God said, let us make man in our image, according to our likeness. Let them have dominion over the fish, over the sea, over the birds, over the air, and over the cattle, over the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth. 27. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. But where does the word imaginary come from? It comes from the root word of image.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so so if there was one word to describe what would make us equal to God's image, which would mean that we would be equal in power to him in a roundabout way.
Well, okay. So this is why I did my first episode on non-monism, non-dualism, right? So to oversimplify, a monist would go to full equal, like you're the equivalent of. We are the equivalent of God, and it's very comfortable for certain sects of like a Hindu type approach. Not all, and I'm not an expert on Hinduism. But also,
I think that it can go both ways. It can be like some things could be mono, some things could be dual, or
Right. Well, and I was going to say I like to go non-monist and non-dualist because either answer leaves me slightly unsatisfied. I don't feel like ultimately from nothing I created myself. That's a little bit of an opinion for the level of where
I don't even. That's not how.
Right.
People take things too literal. Like people don't use their. Here's the difference between when you interpret how to interpret something. Some people interpret things by going to their analytical mind, which is what is defined, dictated, and shown to us.
Right.
What we know comes from our known, and when it avoids the stuff we're oblivious to.
Well, I think language is both freeing and a trap, right?
Yeah. Well, if you allow it to be, it
Fair.
doesn't have to, because you should always. You should always. Like I have a quote, one of the first quotes I wrote that was, imagination makes all unreasonable things reasonable, all illogical things logical. Trying to use reason and logic without imagination only blocks you from all things that truly matter, to include actual reality. That's one of my first quotes I ever wrote.
I like that.
Because you can use your analytical mind all day long. You're just going to go around and around in a circle because you're going to never touch on the things you don't know. So that is it's really a broken record.
Right. Yeah.
It's not the answer you're looking for. It's not going to go outside the boundaries that have been defined and dictated to you for you to stay in between.
So I think that gives us enough common ground to go hit that video you were going to show, if you're ready for that, of the guy that you were mentioning.
Yeah, and I don't have anything against Larry. He's done a lot of good. But right here, what he says doesn't do any good. This really could make and I haven't heard him elsewhere pushing this. It's the only first time I've ever heard him mention this.
Okay.
And I've heard other religious people kind of go there in a roundabout way. So
we won't convict him based on this. We'll just look at it, right?
Not in general religious. certain people that are bound to a certain sect of religion that don't go outside the bounds of that. People that are not open-minded per se, or open-minded to something else being possible in regards to what they think they know.
Right. Well, so we're commanded to test the spirits, right? So if an idea comes along, we should consider it, is what I would say is included in that.
Yeah. So anyways, yeah, this is very interesting what he says. He goes right on the attack. Not a lot of people have seen this actually. And actually you can't even find this on David Rodriguez's show anymore. He took it down.
Okay. And did you share sound too?
Yeah, I did. See if they'll let me play this even.
While you're getting that started, I'll mention to the chat, if you're interested in doing a call-in question, you can just pop into this. I'm not sophisticated enough to know how to set up screening rooms or anything like that yet.
I don't know why it's not working.
It's too dangerous.
Let me see what's going on here. So it's in my, let me try to open it up and we'll have to watch it this way. Open an editor. I'll have to do it this way then. If it wants to be stubborn. Should already be loaded. All right, yeah, so at least we can hear what he says.
Cool.
So if we're going to defeat the swamp, I believe that QAnon and the Truth of Movement must liquidate. And when I say liquidate, I'm not talking about through the barrel of a gun, okay?
Oh, you're talking about more holding people accountable.
Holding people accountable. That's right, man of God. We have to hold people accountable. And so the QAnon movement has to be detoxified.
Still here.
Okay? And liquidated from all of these witches and warlocks teaching remote viewing.
Can I ask you something? Can I ask you something there, Larry?
Go ahead.
These witches and warlocks, could they be, because some of them are some nice people, and I'm just getting turned on to this, especially talking with you. And let me ask you this: could they unwittingly be doing this? Do you think they really have evil in their heart, or do you think they know what they're doing and they know that they're out to sabotage the movement, or both? Maybe some are.
That's an excellent question. They know exactly what they're doing. So then the paradigm and the nature of a witch is a female warlock, and a warlock is a male witch. Now the strategy.
So they don't have good intentions. You're saying that
they
these
don't have good intentions.
Ill intentions to take over a movement and
to subvert it from not just the top down, but from the bottom up. And who and what these witches are, you don't know their background. You don't know what church they belong to. You don't know who their pastor is, okay? And they have a suspect background, whereas they want to.
A couple interesting things in there. Did you pause that intentionally? Oh, you're muted, Cloaked.
Yeah, I paused it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not done. I was going to say, go ahead and touch on what you were going to say. And yeah, what I'm saying, what I did say is, he says, okay, so what if, I asked the question I would have for him is, what if someone that's a so-called witch or a warlock doesn't go to church, never read the Bible, but they happen to learn somehow because they were taught by somebody or they learned it on their own. But there's just so much that, there's so many, it seems like, but watch how he says that, no, you can't be one of those. It's just weird. What he says, I'm not going to put words in his mouth. It's just better to somebody says. But you were going to touch on something about what he already heard so far.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to get nitpicky from the jump. The clip started with, I'm not saying we need to use a gun. Well, there he just manifested the thought of using a gun when he wanted to liquidate people. I mean, I look for, that triggers me a little bit. I'm like, so does he know what he's doing? And I think you were saying earlier, he's a little bit good at language. So already he's putting the idea out there and claiming he didn't, right? So that was the very first words he said. And then I'm so irritated with that, I forgot the next thing I was going to mention. So yeah.
He's not even close. He's not even close to being done yet.
To attack.
Oh, go ahead.
The audio on the Zoom, it seems a little hot from, at least for my monitors. You want to take it
down a little bit.
just a smidge.
There we go.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks. Yeah, perfect.
Me, okay? And so a witch knows the word of God. They know all of the Christian jargon. They
What if like I said, what if, like, I don't, I'm not considering myself a warlock, but in a roundabout way, I guess I could be considered one by the definition of it.
I think he might label you as one. Maybe. I hate to put words in his mouth, but it seems like you.
He would. If he heard my story, he would. If you heard my whole story, though, it would probably send him into cognitive dissonance, to be honest.
Well, right, yeah.
Have such a beautiful civil personality, okay? Remember the movie Civil. They have a soft personality, but behind it, they are nothing but a witch. Now, quickly here, jump in anytime if you see it. So if you know your enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. So my enemy is not any particular man, woman, or child. My enemy is the principalities that are driving them, and they have been planted in our movement to subvert it from the top down and from the bottom up. So let's talk about quickly QAnon before we get to your questions here. It's such a great honor to be here with you tonight. So the art of war, how do we examine and expose the roots of the mothers or darkness? Let's start with our great movement QAnon.
Well, we've lately been trying to disabuse people of saying QAnon, right?
He's starting. Hold on a second.
Yep. That's pretty painful.
Hold on a second. It's because I went to try to pull something else up. Let me go back.
Right.
Hold on a second.
The life of Jesus Christ.
Let me stop here for a second. I just wanted to pull up the witches and warlocks Q posts.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
He's mentioned it.
So I use QAG whatever. You got QAlerts.app. That's awesome.
Witches. I don't even know how to spell witches. See, I suck at spelling.
Oh, I thought it was right.
I thought it was too. But
you could probably just look for warlocks.
Yeah, that'll probably do it because they're going to be together. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Wizards and warlocks is what it says. So, yeah, same thing. Warlocks, could be women or male. I guess they could put it that way. So, let's see. There's quite a few. What are they talking about? So let's see what it says real quick, just so we can see if Q counters what he's saying.
Right.
Assumptions correct. Or wait, so we don't even know what that's about. It says assumptions correct or whatever this. Now, assumptions correct. 2019 1 + 2 should be closely evaluated. Help be provided. Senate to investigate 2019. Q, please tell us who are what the wizards and the warlocks are. Guardians of intelligence. Q. Okay, well, that could go both ways.
Yep.
Good will always defeat evil. No rigging, blackmail this time. Wizards and warlocks. So how would that? They would be the. See, here's the one thing about, and what I don't understand why he says what he says about them being all evil, which you haven't even heard that part first. Wait until he asks. David asks him a very good question, and the way he answered it amazed me.
Right.
What it's like, okay, so if you're evil, wouldn't you want your enemy not to use the most powerful weapon against you?
Right.
It would be the magic, because that's how they brainwash us, and that's how they is through magic.
Right.
So you have to use magic to fight magic. I mean, you can't just. It's just part of the deal.
Right. So, magic includes teaching kids to raise their hands when the teacher says to, right? That's step one almost, right?
Yeah. And go back to so the first time you're told as a kid not that you can't do something.
Right.
That was the first day that your spirit was broken.
Right.
That's the first day that you literally, that's the first day, and the biggest firewall that was ever put up on you was that day. And and your own parents did it unknowingly, you know.
Well,
So-
yeah, we did need to put down some structure. Can we segue off that for just a side note for just a second?
Sure.
Because a large part of me, whether I'm taking advantage of sort of my Bible refresh for the last 15 years, or just the way I think even before that, I feel like absolute complete lack of any kind of structure, whatever that might be. It does seem like I don't want that. Now, is that because I've learned improperly and I seek structure because I'm accustomed to it, or is structure as such bad? And is there a way to provide? Yep.
Oh, you asked the question if you think it's.
Well,
I think
yeah.
I don't think. I think it could be limited. It can limit you.
Right.
It's that's all it is. It's constructing a box for you
Right.
to stay stuck in.
Right. A cube, we could say,
Yeah.
like a cubist or a Saturnist.
Yeah.
What?
Even a broken record circle.
Yeah, it doesn't always have to be a cube. I like to pick on the cubists a little bit. But,
So I mean,
yeah.
it could be used good for certain things that we have to do the way we've been indoctrinated, like
Right.
structure and like the workplace that as the workplace is now, which in itself is a way to keep us, limited.
Well, let me jump down. Like, I'll skip 3 or 4 questions and go to, because when it ultimately, I just want to challenge that if we're going to meet some structure. So you mentioned limited, right? And I agree with an instinct. We don't want to be limited, and that's kind of why you told the story. The very first time the child is told an antithesis to their thesis, right? Like they want to do thing X, and then we say no, and they don't even know probably what no means, but then they see that they're limited, like we hold them back, we're stern, or whatever it is. Then they learn no is that spell word, and so we don't even have to do anything more than just say it after we've trained them, right? I get all that. I agree with that. And I think we're pushing back. I would join you in pushing back against limitation. But I wonder if, so when one meets, I'm going to mention a thing, an it, or a person, capital G-O-D, when one meets God, but before I say the rest of that question, let me jump to that hard question. And so what or who is God, or is there God? I just kind of curious your thoughts on that. We don't have to get to the answer tonight, but I'm just, if you have anything.
I would say that God is the energetic source point of everything. It started with it's energy. It's like the source point of everything, and it is imagination. I guess it was God is God. I mean, imagination is God. Without imagination, the thought of God would not even exist.
So that's interesting. Does God, or can God have personhood?
I mean, anything's possible.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, anything's possible. That's like the magic question you could ask somebody. Do you think anything and everything is possible?
Right.
In general, not just on regards to something. It's funny because it's just in general, they'll say yes, but when you then narrow it down to a specific thing, they'll say no. So
is it possible for all imagination capable beings to all choose to not imagine God having personhood? Sufficient.
They could, yeah. I mean, and in their reality, that would be their reality. I mean, it wouldn't be everybody's reality. But
so now you make me want to jump into collectivism and individualism, because if I
but
can,
I would like to finish this.
Yeah. All right, cool. Yeah, awesome.
Let's finish this while we're
no.
You got to hear what this guy says.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna let it play till he's done.
Cool.
Because this is very interesting.
Cool.
Nice.
54 minutes, or he's not the whole 54.
Hold on. No, it's not going to be 54 minutes.
Okay, I don't mind. I just would want to warn our audience.
I think it'll just be about 19 or 20 minutes at the most. Where he says that I have to start it over now. Well, not start it over, but how did I fix this before? Oh yeah, I'll do this. There we go.
Because the letter Q rabbinically represents a letter of enlightenment. Okay.
He goes on to he says what he thinks Q is.
Okay. When he healed the 10 lepers, 10 were healed, 1 came back to give Christ glory. Enlightenment. 10 men. So the Gospel of Q was one of the 45 books that was extracted by the Vatican at the 325 AD conference in Nicene, Turkey, where 45 books were extracted by the Vatican system, namely the Gospel of Q. Well, who is Q? Well, it's Jesus Christ. It's not a set of generals. You have to look at this from a spiritual paradigm. So in Genesis 1 and 3, and God said, let there be light. Well, God did not create the light. Why would God need to create something that God is? So then God is the light, and in God is no darkness at all. So Q is Christ, and the gospel of Q is a gospel of enlightenment, where we expose the corruption of witches and warlocks and Satanists and Wiccans through the light of the gospel of Jesus Christ. So it starts with Christ. Then Genesis chapter 3, verse 1, and of course, God is Q himself. Now, this may be something different that your listeners have never understood.
Yeah, this is a first for me.
Yeah, and so it is the 17th letter of the alphabet, rabbinically, through rabbinical gematria. The number 17 is a number of spirit and order. So then thousands of years later, it gets deeper here now, on the 1st of April in 1860, a year before the outbreak of the Civil War that began on the 12th of April in 1861 and ended on the 9th of April in 1865. 25 Northern generals, from Brigadier General Benjamin Alford to Brigadier General George Wright, created the present day, when I said present day, going back to 1860, a QAnon movement. So the QAnon movement was not originally designed by God through 25 Northern generals to be a secret society. The QAnon movement was created by God through these 25 Northern generals to be a Christian constitutional movement to do three things. Number one, to protect the first Constitution of 1776. Number two, to protect the presidency at all costs. And number three, to protect President Abraham Lincoln. But a deep state president later, Ulysses S. Grant, who was under pressure from the Vatican system through Pope Pius IX in connection to the Rothschild dynasty out of Eastern, Central, and Western Europe, then tried to destroy the first Constitution of 1776 in order to create a second Constitution through the Act of 1871. So the QAnon movement is ordained by God to protect the first Constitution, to protect the presidency, and to protect Abraham Lincoln. So then QAnon goes into activation on the 22nd of November, 1963.
1963, it went into activation. Kennedy.
There you go. You know about that. So John F. Kennedy was warned by a group of first constitutional patriot generals that there was an assassination plot on his life. Okay. So why do I teach this? The QAnon movement is ordained by God to protect the presidency, to protect the first Constitution, and to protect President Donald J. Trump. But allow me to tell the patriots, God will not allow President Donald J. Trump to come back if the QAnon movement is filled with witches and warlocks. It's not President Trump's fault. QAnon has got to be detoxified of these witches coming in the name of the Lord. So then we must love quickly what God loves, and we must hate what God hates. We cannot love what God hates, and
I never heard God hating anything. I mean, that's just me.
I was reading a little bit of Psalm 5. Psalm 5 might have a little bit of an indication of that. But this guy's coming across really like sort of control-y, I felt.
Well, he's not done yet. It gets better.
Yeah, okay. All right.
we cannot love.
We
which
have
is
sorry.
Pilled by the rabbit. Yeah, I see him.
Yeah, just want to let you know. Yeah.
I see him.
All right, cool.
How's it going there, Pilled? Can you hear me? It looks like he's frozen.
Pilled, are you frozen?
So the first letter of Lucifer, L, Satan, S, double D, there's your LSD. So this is the nature of what we're
There's a delay. I forgot.
fighting against. So we have to know this is a spiritual warfare. We have to plan, man of God, for what is invisible in order to expose that which becomes visible. So we have to drain the swamp in the Q movement and in the truther movement. You cannot gain the country back, patriots, if you're following people on YouTube who are teaching tarot cards, who are teaching tantric lesbian sex tarot cards. You cannot win the country back if you're listening to people teaching remote viewing. Jesus Christ never taught remote viewing, okay? And so as I come in here, now the Lord has led me to expose the roots of the mothers of darkness. So the mothers of darkness goes back.
But hold on. What about this? Just real quick,
Yes.
Larry. I'd had, before I knew any better, it's not too long ago, but I mean, I did it for entertainment. I had my tarot cards read a few times back in the day, and I don't do it anymore because now what's happened with me is I've gone full circle. I kind of left the Bible for a while, went into all the, I started learning about the occult and doing all that and really diving deep in it. But what happened was the longer I went into this, all of a sudden I did a circle, came right back to the Bible. And with me, just speaking for myself, I see everything either holy or demonic. I don't see anything in between anymore. I just can't. Not in the war that we're in right now. War that we're in right now, it's either holy or demonic. But I've had a lot of great guests on my show. I always see purity in people's hearts. I always try to see the good in people. But you're teaching me a lesson here today that maybe I was naive and. But I still feel I got to bring guests on my show that bring information for people. I feel people deserve to hear the information, so I'm caught in this catch-22. I mean, what's your thoughts on that, Bishop?
That catch-22, that is truth and authenticity, what you're teaching. Now, I'm going to say a name, and I'm not castigating this woman. Her name is Jessie Jobolter, okay? And you probably
I've had her as a guest, and listen, by all means, I think she's a beautiful, nice lady. But listen, you're the expert in this. I want to hear your view on this. I've had her on my show a few times, and there was questions I would answer that I would ask her, she would not answer. Right. But I thought was just kind of, well, that's kind of strange if she's a woman.
What questions was that, Dave? What questions was that you were asking her?
There's one that stuck out in my mind. Like I said, I'm not trying to talk bad about her. I'm just saying, like, I didn't understand that. I asked her, she said she knew who the Antichrist was, and I said, okay, who is he? And it wouldn't let me know. It wouldn't let the audience know. And I think that right there, I was just kind of like, well, but
see, and I'm glad that you're bringing this up.
I mean, I just don't know. That's just.
No, you're a man of truth. You're a man's man. And I was on a show some weeks ago called Aquarius Rising Africa. Okay. My topic was the decapitation of darkness, the season of killing witches. That was an uncomfortable subject for the host and for Jessie. And then Jessie later, near the end of the show, left, and she had told me via text, I believe the next day, that she has some furniture come in. Okay. And then the following day, she goes back on the same show and uses the terms the recapitation or the recapitating of all things that are good. Well, that's not her. It's a spiritual dynamic. So I came back on the Reveal report with George Iceman, whose real name is Menzies, okay? And my topic was the decapitation of recapitating all things that are evil, okay? Now, during the duration of the teaching, I hit a couple of nerves. I was talking about the terms tantric lesbian sex. Not one time, Brother David, did I attack her. Not one time. So I felt that Brother George Menzies had lied to me. You see, I am a man, I'm raw and blunt. I'm an acquired taste. And so I talked to George the night after the show was over, back on the 10th, because one of my staff members in New York City said, Bishop, the video is down of your interview. I didn't know whether George took it down or YouTube. So I texted George, okay, that night through Twitter. And George didn't get back to me until the following day on the 11th.
There's one thing I'm waiting for him to ask a certain question. Dave's going to ask him a certain question. And
right
when
on.
that's answered, then I'll stop the video. I don't know. It's going to come up sometime in the next 5 minutes.
Cool.
Said, Bishop, I would have the video up this weekend. So weekend came, the 12th, the video was not up. So I called him on the 12th quickly on that Sunday. And I asked him, George, when is the video going to be up? And he says, well, Bishop, I can't talk to you now. I'm out of town eating breakfast. And I said, can you put up the video today? Because people are wondering, why did you take down the video? And he said, well, Bishop, I don't carry my computer with me everywhere. Okay. And so he says, I will put the video up on Tuesday, the 14th. Guess what? Tuesday came, and Brother David, the video was not up. All of this mess was caused by George because he mishandled the situation by taking down the video. He lied to me twice. Then he got on his show last Friday, crying crocodile tears. He's now the Canadian Rodney King by saying, oh, can we all get along? Why are we throwing each other underneath the bus? But he threw me underneath the bus by saying Bishop attacked Jesse. But he never told me that 7 days prior, leading up to last Friday. So listen, we got to stop throwing each other underneath the bus. But Bishop, but Larry, he calls me Larry now, then attacked Jesse. I never attacked Jesse. Then Jesse interrupts me, and she thought I was going to accuse her to be a mother of darkness. I was not. So she reacted to something that she was not accused of, which is another red flag. Then I began to break down her bloodlines, okay?
But Larry, is it, in all fairness, she says she left the occult at, I don't know, 7, 8 years old, something around there.
Yeah.
Didn't she say she's left the occult? I mean, and now she's turned her heart to Jesus Christ, and now she's trying to, this is what she says. I'm just telling you what she says, what she told me. So do you think she's maybe do you think this is unwittingly, she does, maybe this is her night, it's naive, or are you saying there's...
See, here's the question.
Okay.
Back in 2015, she works for Staples. I'm not castigating her, okay? I have over 500 tweets that Jessie Jacolter, and I'm not mispronouncing her name, for the past 3 years, she's been in constant communication with one of the most powerful Satanists in this country, Lucien Greaves, okay? Why is she in contact with the leader of the Satanic Temple? Lucien Greaves went to Texas, okay, a couple of weeks ago, and according to all reports, that the Satanic Temple was approached by the Democratic Party in Texas to, take over the masses of the people by forcing the people to pray unto the Aztec god demons, okay? And so, listen, Why is Jesse in contact with these people? Now, again, we're asking her three things. I'm not castigating her. I didn't attack her. I'm not questioning her Christianity. Here is the problem. What church does she belong to? Who is her pastor? Now, most of the people that her ministry, attaches to is broken, damaged women. Okay. The third
but question, in all fairness, and I'm not sticking up for anybody here, but in all fairness, even me, I don't belong to a church. I mean, I was an altar boy growing up in a Catholic school, but I just go to different churches, and I go when there's nobody there, and I pray by myself.
Well,
but I mean, why is that so significant?
It is significant because it's called apostolic authority in order. In other words, if we have a minister, my spiritual father is Dr. Ivory Hopkins. I'm under his apostolic covering, okay? But that's a teaching that people don't understand. So if we ask her, who is her pastor? Her followers said is Jesus. Okay. What church are you a part of? No answer. And here is the third question that is damning to her credibility. She wrote a book going back to 2017, okay, concerning the darkness, the battle, whatnot. And I said this on my Global Masterclass. And that first book that she wrote, the original cover had an old photo of three little girls, okay, drawing circles with a pentagram inside of the circle on a chalkboard, okay? But she says she is the middle child in the picture. We got the tweet that she said that, okay? And the picture was taken by Cisco Wheeler. Now, come to find out, patriots from all over the world has been sending me the same picture that goes back to 122 years from a book from an author by the name of James Liberty Tad.
Wait, so the picture's not her?
Well, according to a book that goes back to 122 years, okay? And so we got that, and I'll send you all of the information. I'll have one of my staff members to do that. Well, the church, listen, the picture goes back to 122 years on page 73, okay, of a book by James Liberty Tad, capital T-A-D-D. Now, people have asked my sister, Jessie, about that. She either blocks them or she sends her people after them to persecute them.
Yeah, I'm gonna end it here. I mean, basically, you heard what I wanted you to hear, I think. The rest of it's just bashing Jessie. And, she's got questions that are interesting questions to ask of her.
Mhm.
But there's interesting questions to ask of him as well. So, I mean, nobody's perfect. And
Yeah. Well, when he started talking about wondering who the apostolic order, authority, stuff like that, I got intrigued because, I routinely kind of think in my head that we battle principalities, powers of the air, things like that. And I'm trying to think of a good Qism that's kind of similar. In some ways, it's kind of baked into the whole Q thing, which is you guys got to open your eyes and see that there's a lot going on. So when that guy on the left, what was his name? I forgot.
David Nino Rodriguez on the right, and then Larry Gaithers was on the left.
So when Larry Gaithers starts to say, "Hey, I'm curious who that person reports to," I'm like, that's a legitimate question. If they in fact do, right? They may be a lone wolf.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I got to tell you, just vibes, just hackles going up with that guy. But yeah. So
just interesting how he says that people that remote view, right? That's here's the thing that gets me and proves that's not true is the patent Walking Through Walls training system talks about remote viewing, and it's a patent by St. Clair John Q. Right. So right there blows his argument out of the water and into pieces. And that's what I would like to him. I would love to have a conversation with him in regards just to that alone.
Yeah.
And then show him my evidence as to why I say that is actually Nikola Tesla and so forth.
Right. Which I think at some point, if there's time tonight, we should get into that evidence. I've heard you do it before, so I don't want to, if you're tired of doing it,
Oh, no, I'm not tired of doing it.
Yeah.
It's information that people need to hear.
Right.
And then ascertain what they want from it. But
so you still have the echo pilled. Do you want to see if it's hideous for us? Maybe we don't get the echo.
Do you hear an echo?
Not at all.
Not yet.
Okay.
No.
Let me see if I can clear some of the stuff.
So I was just kind of curious from a tech perspective. Cloaked, are you interested in taking a question from Pilled yet, or do you have some more content?
Sure, if he has one, yeah, ask it. Yeah, that's a good question. Fine. He's got one.
Pilled, I'm kind of excited. You're outside of my co-host on Fridays, mom, which is my wife, which was a canned call just to see if we could figure out how to do it on YouTube. You're my first actual caller of all time.
Oh, well, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still hear an echo, and I think the only thing I have open is Zoom.
You don't have the foxhole open by chance?
And I'm trying to minimize my screen so I can.
Have you shut off the foxhole stream?
Or mute foxhole maybe?
Let's see.
That's probably what it is.
Well, but that's like usually a 20-second delay.
Yeah. But it'd still be like an echo.
Yeah.
If it's got a low volume.
Pilled, do you hear an echo of just you? Well,
No, we can't.
You muted again. Yeah. Well, while he's
Yes, with a very long delay. And I'm.
Oh, that's probably Foxhole somehow coming in your audio still.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to get. Yeah, but the Zoom, I can't seem to minimize it right now.
Oh, go up to view and exit full screen.
Yeah, or hit escape. That sometimes.
Oh, there's a view. Okay, exit full screen. There we go.
Yeah. We may have lost you.
Oh, he might have just put his camera off. Because I can do that too. See.
Yeah, he's outside of the meeting now.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Well, anyway, so I was doing a little bit of tech stuff and my ears were almost bleeding a little bit from, I'm teasing, that guy, but he was a little screechy. What was the thing for me to pick up? I think I'm a little dense. You told me, yeah.
The thing was about the witches and the warlocks and how
Right.
remote viewing.
Yeah.
That was it. I pretty much already touched on it.
So I think of Project Looking Glass, which I'm not saying it's for sure tied into remote viewing, but I'm just kind of lumping into anything that gives us data that we might not otherwise think. Okay, I forgot who said it, but like magic and technology are essentially the same thing, right? Like if you really extrapolate, there's not a difference.
It basically is. It all because even nature is a machine. Right. It can look like the machine can make it look like it's ghostly or spiritly.
Right.
But the machine's job is to materialize and to manifest your reality on regards to and it does that by what you imagine. And there's talked about technology by Nikola Tesla that says just that your thoughts could be projected as an image in front of in front of you.
Right. And they could put a salad bowl on your head now with electrodes, and that seems like a more primitive way than probably what Tesla was thinking. And they can like read, like the guy the other day, typed an email or whatever for his thoughts or commanded us something. I forget what. That just seems so rudimentary. Like our phones and our screens and our TVs, it just seems like the wrong path that kind of is not what Tesla had in mind.
No. He even says in the one quote that got my attention about him in that article, A Famous Prophet of Science Looks into the Future, where he says, that out of all the devices he created to deceive our eyes and our ears, they're meaningless to him. His discovery of the rotating magnetic field, which is, our rotating magnetic field he's talking about. He's not talking about the one he used to make an invention of a machine that can.
Do you ever stumble across Fractal Woman on YouTube?
Mm-mm.
Okay, I won't belabor it, but she goes into Charles Proteus Steinmetz and kind of a couple of other people in our electric grid, and how basically we're still using exactly the same technology for the last like 120, 100 some odd years that we've ever had. Like nobody really understands how it works because there are not a lot of Teslas walking around these days.
Actually, I want to go over this article real quick.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
The one that this is the one that set me off down the Tesla rabbit hole.
Yeah.
that I found pretty much as deep as to the bottom as I could, so far as I found. I mean, I find new stuff, so it's not as deep as you can go, but I've gotten pretty deep down this rabbit hole, I think. But down here is where the interesting things are said. And it's right here when she asks the question. And the way she asks the question, it'll go right over people's heads when I read it, but it didn't go over mine the first time I read it. Like that stood out to me. It's like they're saying that was invented way back then, but why did we not get it till this year, like in the 80s or 90s? So let me listen to what she asks him. It's a question and answer.
Right.
And this is what her last question. This goes right over everybody's head. Everybody that's read it. I've never heard anybody mention it after I've read it. Never brings this back up because it doesn't even ring. It doesn't register for them, which it should. And it's it's not the bottom. Hold on. Okay. So she says, I asked Tesla what part of his life lay closest to his heart, and the answer surprised me. It was not the world wireless system, nor the airplane. This is 1927. It was not the induction motor, today the basis of industries, in which billions of dollars are invested all over the world. Instead, it was the discovery of the principle that preceded the induction motor, the rotating magnetic field. When I made the discovery of the rotating magnetic field, Dr. Tesla said, I was a very young man. The revelations came after years of concentrated thought. It was my first great thrill. It was not only a valuable discovery capable of extensive practical applications, it was a revelation of new forces and new phenomenon unknown to science before. No, Dr. Tesla said with some feeling, I would not give my rotating field discovery for 1,000 inventions, however valuable, designed merely as mechanical contraptions to deceive the eye and the ear. 1,000 years hence, the telephone and the motion picture camera may be obsolete, but the principle of the rotating magnetic field will remain a vital living thing for all time to come. So if we don't have a phone to communicate with or a motion picture camera to worry about watching, how are we communicating? Right. See, that's one question people don't think to ask from listening to that. Then the other question is up here. He's talking about the world wireless system. There was a world wireless system back in 1927, right? He's not talking about the telegraph.
Right.
He's talking about a wireless system. That energy system, wire, that's the wireless system he's talking about. The water towers,
right? Every time I see a water tower now, and I pointed out to my wife and kid, I'm like, here's a Tesla tower.
And people don't understand those things he's got a quote that those things can put out sound. That's what he says it in a quote. I'm going to show you. Hold on.
Did you ever see the TV show Fringe when it first came out?
I did watch it years ago, but not very many episodes.
Yeah, it hinted at the power of sound, but it didn't really explain it.
How did it hint it? Just
well, whenever the sort of mad scientist guy character would go solve an issue, he would set up some sort of grid of sonic resonance and aim it at a wall so people could walk through the wall and stuff like that. I might be butchering some of the stories, but it was stuff like that.
But yeah, I mean that sound wave could do that. It could make it
absolutely.
It could produce the.
Well, a phonon is like a particle at a certain level. It can be.
So let's see.
Hey, can I sneak in a quick question?
Sure, go ahead.
Where Tesla says the rotating magnetic field, roughly speaking, I can imagine what he means, and I do need to go actually dig and find out what he really means. But do you have sort of a short answer to what he means by the rotating magnetic field? Seems like a simple question, but I just want to.
Yeah. I mean, that's the essence. There's one that revolves around everything, and it's what connects us to everything. It's what it's what we use that, and we use that to power ourselves,
Right.
And right now everybody's rotating magnetic field is off balance. It's off kilter. It's off of with the calcification of your pineal gland, which connects you to being able to operate the rotating magnetic field in order to, because that's how you have to use that in order to take your light body. In order to take your rainbow light body, you have to get that in balance and under control. That's the way to go about it.
Right.
But this quote is
We may have pilled back.
What's that?
We may have pilled by the rabbit back.
Awesome. It's one particular quote. I'm trying to one day now. Right here. My wireless transmitter does not use Hertz waves. It says Hertzian waves, which are a grievous myth, but sound waves in the ether. Nikola Tesla.
Nice. Yep, I remember that one.
So that one is very, very telling. And then there's the article, The Longitudinal Wave, where it talks about how it's said that his towers were built like acoustic organs, being able to
I think I'm here, but I still have an echo.
Yeah.
Right.
And I've done everything I can do on my end to get rid of it. But
I think your computer mic and if you have two mics open, that could be the reason. Your mic in Zoom and your mic on the computer.
oh, let me check that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good point.
Let me check.
Or if you have two,
Only one mic.
yeah.
There's a mic in the camera.
Could
Yeah.
be, yeah. I've had that problem.
So then he talks about he even talks about like that one quote, even he mentions the beans pretty much when he talks about other forces and other phenomena unknown to science before. He's talking about seeing these,
Well, I'll tell you this.
Yeah.
The FBI guy that's assigned to me, he doesn't like me. I'm pretty sure of
Yes,
it.
we're
Because
seeing
right
that.
when I got on here, it went a little crazy. And I'm hearing a delay, but I'm just going to talk for a minute. Because this phone went insane just the minute I hooked up with you guys. And I can tell it's broken because my little lady that talks to me weird is back.
Have you restarted it? The phone? Sometimes just a restart. Because my phone's been acting up too, like ever since these last 4 or 5 months. It's the updates. They do something to the updates to mess with everybody, I think. Because I have 5 apps trying to run at the same time. And you have to individually go and shut each one down. Try if you're on the phone, try to force stop the app and then reopen it that you're using, if you're using the phone. I don't know. But either way, you can talk with your Echo and we're gonna say what you have to say.
Yeah, and we might have I'm thinking we're not having real-time meeting audio with you, Pilled. You're getting us 20 seconds later too, maybe.
And how is that though? Because isn't he piped into
You're
our
muted.
same?
Pilled, you're muted.
Isn't he piped into our same meeting? I mean, our
yeah,
same.
but he might not have. Pilled, you're muted. There we go.
I was just going to say, I'm just going to listen into you guys because this echo is going to drive me crazy.
No, you can ask
And I can't
questions.
figure out how
Ask
to
a
turn it
question.
off.
No, ask a question.
But it's really good to see you and hook up with you. And maybe we can try more of this, Greg.
Yep.
And see what we can do. And I'm looking forward to seeing
Ask a question if you want. Well, I'll answer. I mean,
Our Cloaked Unseen. I'm looking forward to seeing you when I get a chance. But anyway, I'm going to leave right now and listen
Understood.
to you.
Huh.
Understood.
what the issue with his equipment is.
Yeah. It's
Is
any
it,
of a myriad of things,
Yeah. Sometimes it's just needing to restart the computer. Actually, sometimes it actually does that.
Every now and then I do that.
Yeah. Clear the cache too. That's important.
So I think you answered my question of really what the rotating magnetic field was. I wonder if
it's our connection. It's our, it's
I wonder if, because I had been.
It's like the radiate. It's like it is our soul in a roundabout way. It's like it's the radiating, energetic soul. I mean, it's always rotating.
I can get with that. I had sort of classically been trained that you can add up a bunch of little small magnetic fields and creates a larger magnetic field. So I suspect that's possibly also true. Like if you have a room full of 100 people, their fields will start to impact each other. Does that seem logical?
Oh yeah, and the same in nature. The tree, like the tree is made of tree, like think of a family tree. There's a tree, the main tree. There's the tree limb. That's a different energy life force. Then you got the tree branch. It's a different energy life force, and the tree leaf off the branch is an energy life force, and all those have rotating magnetic fields, and they all make one big one of the tree in a whole, and they can work in unison or they can work separate from each other.
So there's two YouTubers that I want to just mention to you and be curious if you've come across them, and if not, probably not talk about them too much, but just I'll email them to you. But have you come across Quantum of Conscience?
Quantum of Conscience. Let me see if I have them.
His name is Matt, and he yeah.
I can see if I have, because I have like 600 YouTube channels on my subscription or who I sub to.
Yeah, I'll see. Yeah, I'll be able to tell if you spelled it the way I remember him.
Quantum. You said what was the name again?
Quantum of Conscience.
Quantum of Conscience. All right, let's see, because it might be.
It'd be start with a Q if it's alphabetical. I don't know.
Yeah, no, yeah, it is alphabetical. I'm gonna drop down.
Cool.
So let's see.
It would just straight up be in the Q section.
Quantum Healing, Quantum Red Pill Cafe.
No, the algorithms have not handed him to you. Yeah. So the reason I thought of him is when you talked about how that person can have their reality, he likes to talk about reality bubbles and how they can kind of impact each other as you get in proximity to people.
Yeah,
so
yeah. I understand what's going on there. Yeah.
And then I'll email you kind of his channel, and then
kind of touched on it earlier too. It's that frequency that you're on.
Right.
It's like frequencies attract to each other, and then they get, like some people, like basically like with me, when you butt up against the other one, that's like against everything you think and everything that you imagine.
Right.
That's actually, when you want to get away from that, that's actually the exact opposite of what you should be doing. You should be going to that, head to it, and try to figure out why that is. Why do I not want it? Why can't I open up my mind to this? Why can't I change? Why can't I change my thought process?
Right.
Why am I so ingrained into my
so what makes us want to go away from it?
Because it's too uncomfortable. It's too vibration is too uncomfortable. Yeah, it makes us feel like it pushes us to want to ridicule or condemn or suppress something that we don't understand or like or
There's another one. Have you come across Theoria Apophasis?
Yes, that's actually where I found this article.
Nice.
Prophet of Science appears in the future, because the whole point of why I even found his channel is because my first question was when I started seeing on my friend Colorado Bigfoot's videos, weird stuff in nature, like looking like beans, like cloaked beans and all this stuff. And then when I started seeing it in my own videos after I recorded my own stuff, I started investigating photography, and that's what brought me to him, because he does reviews on photography. And I typed in, he was one of the bigger channels.
Right, that's right. He does do a lot of photography.
And like he, so I was thinking maybe, well, if he does that, and the guy seems really smart, he must know about the same thing I do about these beans and everything. And no, he doesn't. He's one of the most brilliant guys you'll ever come across, but he doesn't touch this subject.
No, he's very into the sort of the Pythagorean phi number, PHI, and the 1 over 1 plus 1 over x or whatever it is.
Yeah.
1.7 something.
I mean, and what everything he says is right, is real, but he has closed. I've tried to get his attention in his chat. I've tried to get his attention super chat. I've even tried to email him.
Right.
And I can't get his attention, and he doesn't want to engage.
Yeah. And yeah, I can see exactly what you're saying. I think I've even tried to attract him with a couple of comments to try to pull the direction slightly. I want to say the word rigid, but I don't want to manifest that for him. But it feels rigid.
He doesn't go woo at all about
Right,
anything.
right. And this,
But yeah,
yeah,
he understands the indoctrination very good. He understands,
right. Yes.
all that.
Yeah.
But he doesn't understand that he himself is still indoctrinated.
Right. Well, but what's interesting is he says right now we're using explosion technology for our, especially like our energy sources, and it's all going to be implosion technology. Or he may not say it that aggressively, but that, the direction that we're stealing the energy from, which it's all exploding like a fire or a combustion engine, it's all going to be the other direction. And he says it's coming. He just doesn't know when. So he's really close.
Yeah, I mean, he's connected to a lot of things, but like he wouldn't be one to follow the Q movement, or he would think that would be,
He got it all apparently from reading ancient languages, basically.
Yeah, he's very analytical. He's too much on the analytical mind. He doesn't use his imaginary mind. That's the issue.
Right.
That's the issue. Period. It's just the imagination is not real to him. That's like a lot of people don't understand. They think they buy into the indoctrinated. It's like people don't understand that their imagination has been hijacked and it's being used to manifest and keep manifested the evil world that we live in.
Right. Well, yeah. You'll get that from Quantum of Conscience. I'll send it to you. He points out that the truth community is sometimes used to steer the larger community into the direction that the controllers, or whatever you'd call it, want us to convince them to. Sometimes even by speaking the opposite. Like we get onto our 9/11s or our, our COVID stuff, and it may all be true, or we may be discovering, but we may be also manifesting what they want.
We are.
Yeah.
And I know that here I've tried to talk to many people about that. Certain people, I'm not going to name names.
Right. Fair.
But I mean, they don't even see it that they do, but they don't. It's like they don't want. It's like they see something on there about this like COVID stuff, and they don't understand that they may not have made anything ever, and they may just be pumping information out there and letting us manifest it for them.
Correct.
Create that.
And if you manifest,
it doesn't mean it's fake. It doesn't mean it's fake.
Right. No, it's not.
We're the ones that are helping feed it to make it grow.
Right.
To get power.
Yes, I'm very with what you just said, and I feel like if I want to get a group of people to manifest a thing, all I have to get them to do is to focus on the thing or the opposite of the thing. Like either one, or get the two groups warring over it.
Yeah.
And then I can really get it to rise up.
Yeah, and that's what we're helping the situation when we show those videos that push fear, because it's just pushing fear.
Right.
It's pushing fear on both sides.
Right.
And fear is what we need to get rid of. We need to stop showing that stuff. We understand what it is. And if people and by us talking about and showing the anti to that, it's just pushing more fear, and it's not fixing the problem of if you ignore it, it would have less power.
Agreed. I want to be sensitive to your time. I'm
not in no time frame.
Cool. Did we hit there was a couple of questions that I snuck in there, and then do you have any hanging threads that you recall from where we were going? You showed me. I think you closed all of them up. We haven't really. Did we talk? No. So we were kind of saving a headline that you often bring out, and I would love to touch on it if you're interested, which is the way that you can know a lot about, well, how did you discover Q? I guess I could ask it that way.
Yeah. Well, like I said, first was that guy we were just talking about, Theo. I forgot to say his name.
Faces. Yeah. I don't know how to pronounce it.
And that article I just went over, and the name that article was from a Tesla Universe, because he showed the article and he went over it on his channel. So that's how I read where it was from, and I went to where that he got it, which was Tesla Universe. And then I got on that website one night, and I just pulled this strange image out of one of my videos, and then it was weird. It was like, so I went to that Tesla Universe, and I saw quotes. I started reading some of the quotes. Some of the quotes got my attention. Then I started to go to the patent image designs. And when I went to the patent image designs, like the third one I looked and resembled the same shape as I saw on the image of nature that I have. Looks very similar, and I was like, holy shit, you know, that's. I looked at my picture, I looked at that again, and I'm like, it's the same freaking thing. I said, so then that's what so basically then I started looking into that, and then so I started looking at nature, as basically into nature, and then into more into Tesla, and then some of his quotes is what was telling me to go look elsewhere for more context, And somehow I came across this Voynich manuscript, and I think I had actually seen it before on another show, and it just that image just came to my mind. I need to go check that thing out because there's beans in this thing, and I remember seeing images out of that book that had beans out there in nature, like a nature drawings.
Right.
I open up I open up the book. There's like a PDF thing. It's like, here, I can show you what it looks like. It's I have a link here. It's Voynich manuscript, and you just go like click on this thing. Then it goes into this manuscript, and I started looking through the pictures, and I didn't even at the time, I don't think I actually noticed that it was in here at that time. But then, so not even after I found that image and found that patent, not even a week or two later, my friend, who happened to not be with us anymore, he's one of Kiz and mine's real good friends. His name is Brian, but he's, his meat suit, he's not in it no longer. But we think he overdosed on drugs is what it came down to. Because I had a prior conversation with him because one of his friends killed himself. Probably, I don't remember how long before that had happened, and I remember having a specific conversation with him that he said he would never, that's something he would never do. So the only thing, he died from a drug overdose. The only thing I could sum up would be that it was an accidental one. So, but regardless, so and I'm gonna guess it was probably OxyContin, or I mean, we have never really talked about if he did drug and so forth, but other than I know he drank a lot at some point. But so anyways, that are these new what is it, that stuff that I should know the name of it too, the powerful stuff, not OxyContin, but it's God, I forget the name of it. I don't know, the ones that everybody's overdosing on, the one that can kill like a lot of people. It's at the tip of my tongue, and I'm a nurse and I should know it.
I should know this too.
Now it's bugging me.
I can't think of it.
I'm gonna figure it out in 2 seconds here.
Cool.
Fentanyl. There you go.
Oh, right. Yes. They're
coming over in pills now.
Well, okay. Can this is gonna seem really weird, but I want to throw this at you just from. Well, I can do it in a second. Were you leading somewhere? Because I don't want to interrupt that.
Oh, we were still talking about the same thing. Yeah. I mean, well, not the same thing, but we were talking about.
We're getting from Tesla over to
to the patent that he gave me over Facebook. Which was a full body teleportation device, which is this patent here. I'll show you. It's another St. Clair John Q patent.
Right.
So this was before I even knew about Q. So when I read who the patent was by, it never rang a bell because I didn't know about the Q movement. But I'm sure I read who it was from, and then just never registered it, other than me at the time when he showed it. I went to see if this guy had other patents, and I found this YouTube channel, found other patents by the guy, and that's when I looked at all those patents.
Right.
And then that's when I went back to the manuscript, and then I noticed those patent representations from some of those hyperspace patents on the same page as one with Nikola Tesla. And that's when that broke that wide open. And then that's what somehow in a roundabout way led me, because of this, and it didn't lead me there. Well, I take that back. Well, that's what led me there. I don't remember exactly how it was, but other than trying to think of what I was thinking. So yeah, I don't, maybe it didn't lead me there specifically, but somehow I ended up at this, just shortly after that, I had ended up and found the Q movement. It was when I watched that video. I think that's what led me to the Q movement. I came across that documentary. That's right. The documentary, The Fall of the Cabal. And that's what led me to the Q movement was that documentary. And then so like I'd been looking into Q for about 2 weeks or maybe a month. And then I was at work and I was trying to kind of red pill a friend at work, this Indian girl that I thought I could reach because of her ancestry and all that stuff. And I showed her the one last episode, The Return of the King. I showed her image of nature and the image, the Nikola Tesla patent in my image that looked like it. And then I showed her, the other stuff. And then, so then, because I had already found the connection of these patents, before I knew of the Q movement, these patents by this one guy, and I didn't even remember his name at the time because I hadn't read it in so long. I didn't read the name of the patent designer, except for the last time when I went to find out who, which was like prior, was see if he had more patents, which I did indeed found. And there's like a month went by where I hadn't even considered his name, and I didn't even think about it when I was talking to her. But then she asked me a question, and then she's like, well, who's that patent by? And then so I went and I showed her the phone, and she read, oh, it's by a guy named St. Clair John Q. And I was like, then it just registered with me. I'm like, oh.
Right. You had to hear it spoken. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I was like, then that like hit me like a jack. It's like I knew right then what I had stumbled on. And then that's when all like just, it was just crazy stuff just started coming to me, like just like I was like, it's almost like I felt like I had maybe even been part of someone that had knowledge of that book previously in a previous life, almost like I had just, it's like the answers were just coming to me like pouring in.
Somebody the other day on one of the shows quoted Mark Twain, and I don't know if I think he's the right person for this quote. History doesn't repeat itself, but it what did it say? I wrote it down. History doesn't repeat itself.
I have it right here.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, watch right here. I have one he has right here. Mark Twain right here. No, that's Peter Sagal. It's up here though.
Yeah.
Mark Twain. This one. Nope, not that one. It's one of these ones. Or maybe not. Hold on. That's not. Oh, wait up. Yeah, this is it. Is it this one? It is easier to fool people than to convince them they have been fooled.
No, well, that's an important one, and that's what.
That's Mark Twain.
Yeah, that's sort of But he's got one here. Let me.
That's one then. I thought it might have been the same one. But yeah, these are all. Actually, there's a video that you would probably like that you haven't seen. I haven't played it in a long time.
Oh, but it rhymes. History doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. So when you talked about, you suddenly felt like you were a part of prior events, I guess I was hearing you kind of start to indicate and things like that.
I just seemed like I remembered it from a past life.
Right. Yeah. So exactly. Okay. That's not exactly the history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. But if there are periods in history, so periods would look like this, but if there's also a linearness to the history, obviously it's going to be helical, right? So time kind of moves more like a helix than I think it would do a circle or a straight line. But that's not really exactly having to do with past lives, but it can be, because like serially you would end up stacking them like that, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. I mean, everything to me makes sense in a roundabout way. I mean, I don't like to tell people they're wrong, and I try to.
Right. Yeah. And I'm kind of only in a sort of a light speculation right now with that concept.
Yeah. I just know that everything's possible and everything's real. Everything's even your mouse that you're clicking on.
Right.
It has a creature form.
Well, so one of the central tenets I want to hold for this Sunday night show, this really, really late Sunday night show, is I believe that one can always find a way to take any two things, and they don't even have to be like both objects. Like you could take the concept of the tooth fairy and a peanut butter jelly sandwich that you ate yesterday and relate them, right? There's always a way to relate any two things. Yes. And I kind of think that's in agreement with what you just said. But I still feel like it's not the full and complete answer from my perception, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's like some things are more connected than other. Everything's connected. Yeah, everything is connected. I mean, that's just the bottom line. But here's what an important point that needs to be made that people don't ever think about, and that is, can two people look at the same thing and have the two opposite opinions about it and both still be right? And the answer to that is yes, and I can tell you how that
Okay.
is.
Yeah, give us an example, because I kind of agree.
Well, here's how: overlapping of the timelines, being shifted one timeline to another. So in your timeline that you were in, that could have been the truth of that timeline, but you come over here, and then it's real to you, it's real thing. And then in this timeline, you're gonna be so sure that you're right, but somebody else has the total opposite of you. It's like the Mandela effect, right? Like it's like their truth could be real too, though. And the world that they were, the timeline they were in, like they can now be in another timeline and not even know it. Because if you're people and you're able to manipulate timelines and bring people from in and out of timelines, wouldn't you do that to confuse them and keep them at odds with each other?
Like Baron Trump can probably do.
Yeah, you know what I mean? That's
Yes.
the point. If I was evil, that's the way I would.
Right. Yeah, I mean, he can bring people together in for good, I think. I tend to think the Trumps are basically benevolent.
But well, here's the thing.
Yeah.
There's good. So there's a timeline
Right.
in the world where there's a bad, evil Trump.
Fair.
And then there's good. Just
fair.
Like there's
fair. Did you ever see one of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies where the ship is in the upside down world and then it flips over, and that's how they get back when they do it right at the sunrise, and they do it just right. Yeah. And then there's
Oh, go ahead.
Well, there's also, pyramids and ziggurats, right? If you're standing on the top of a pyramid and you're looking up into a ziggurat, how do you know you're not actually in the ziggurat looking up into the pyramid, right? So when people are in opposition with each other, I do feel like, so somebody who is inverted, or I don't know much about the Illuminati as far as like how you get into that and become one of those people, but I think we know a little bit, like, like an Anderson Cooper example, if any of that is true. But like, do they see me very similar to the way I see them? Like, am I a threat to them the way I feel like they're a threat to me? Does that make sense?
Yeah, probably not. They probably think you're
food,
like, or stupid, or
like food. Yeah.
But there's a quote actually by Nikola Tesla that kind of made me think that it was found by me in another timeline and brought back into this one. It's just weird how this, because the way it's written, it's like, because he's saying may have instead of saying will. It's like it didn't work out this time. It could have, but it didn't. Just the way it's worded. Let me show you. It's like he wrote it to show that the choice is ours. Like it's what we make. Like it's you're gonna get it when I read it here. That's a bad. They took my one video down where I had this all in order, so I need to try to figure it out. Okay, this is the one. So let me go down. I actually like this quote too. Here it is. It's number 39. A single ray of light from a distant star falling upon the eye of a tyrant in bygone times may have altered the course. Here it is. May have altered the course of his life. May have changed the destiny of nations. May have transformed the surface of the globe. So intricate, so inconceivably complex are the processes of nature.
I would call that the butterfly effect, right?
Yeah. And it's saying like may have.
Right.
No. Let's change that now, right now. After I read something like that, to me, I change that may to will. So let's read it again with the new word will, and we'll take out the word, see what it sounds like. Okay. A single ray of light from a distant star falling upon the eye of a tyrant in bygone times will have altered the course of his life, will have changed the destiny of nations, will have transformed the surface of the globe. So intricate, so inconceivably complex are the processes of nature.
It strengthens it.
Yeah, I mean, so it's like, yeah, and this also is like a call out for help to another galaxy, too, right? Mm-hmm. To bring in the International Galactic Space Force. So this was almost like his manifested to bring help in. It didn't help in his time back then. he did it and used it. So basically, maybe that's where he was coming from. That it didn't help back then because it was too far ahead of time. Like his other quote down here, where he goes, and he says, actually, we'll go to the one that is this one's one of my favorite quotes now, and where he tells you what he thinks of these people. Let's see, it's right here. That was right there. Hold on. I am unwilling to accord to some small-minded and jealous individuals the satisfaction of having thwarted my efforts. These men are to me nothing more than microbes of a nasty disease. My project was retarded by the laws of nature. The world was not prepared for it. It was too far ahead of time. But the same laws will prevail in the end and make it a triumphal success. And that's pretty powerful. Right. Then there's actually there's some that I didn't go over in any of my interviews because I just didn't have enough time.
Oh, cool. Well, hit us with some of that. Yeah.
Let's see. I'll go to a couple of them.
Because actually, and there's I think there's like 20 or so. Last time I looked, maybe 25 or 30. So they may know already about, but let me remind them. You kind of did a lot of more in depth of this on the Space Shot interview. And there's a couple other recent interviews. So it's like almost we should put them all together so you don't have to repeat yourself. Like maybe people could go check the Space Shot, and then what other one would they check out?
Charlie Ward, I touched a couple more.
Yep.
I touched a lot of them actually when my restream of my first Charlie Ward interview. I would really recommend watching the restream of my Mark Atwood interview. It's like a 3.5, 4 hours where I go over more of the intel drops than I did in my actual interviews. Like it was just a restream and me talking over, pausing the interview, then adding my context when I was talking about quotes.
Yeah, I don't think I've done that whole one, so I'll go refine that. I think I might have caught part of that on a replay one time. I might have
Mark
played.
Atwood interview was really good. I mean, so was the screenshot one, but the Mark Atwood one was for different reasons.
Yeah.
You know, it's different content because he confirms what I'm saying, saying that somebody else was telling him the same thing in regards to these interdimensional beings and how they manifest in material.
So you're going to show some quotes that you haven't really recently had a chance to.
Yes, that I haven't shared with it, not on any interview, I don't think.
Okay.
Yeah. Other than maybe I might have read them in my Nikola Tesla Hypothesis video that got taken down off YouTube. It's still up on my Odyssey though. Odyssey channel.
Okay.
Still. But so let's see. Well, let's start with the first one right off the bat. What investigations is he talking about here? Look, listen to this. Let's see, where did it go? I know he has one where he talks about investigations. Oh, it's gotta be up here. Hold on. 39. 3. No. Well, this one's interesting here. Okay. I do not hesitate to state here for future reference and as a test of the accuracy of my scientific forecast that flying machines and ships propelled by electricity transmitted without wire will have ceased to be a wonder in 10 years from now. I would say 5, were it not that there is such a thing as inertia of human opinion resisting revolutionary ideas. So when you hear somebody say, I don't see that this is going to happen anytime soon, it's going to be another 10, 50, 20, 30, 40 years down the line, then they're just limiting the future. And if they're an influential person, then they're actually hurting the manifestation of it happening quicker.
So in my kindergarten mind, I've kind of just told myself a fairy tale version that matches this. Doesn't explain this. And what I like about this quote is it brings some of the blame onto the human race. But what I was going to say was, I kind of just pretend the simple version is, and I think we've all heard this, and I've just distilled it down to, there's the humans, there's the Draconians, there's the Palladians. The Draconians just want to eat us. The Palladians want to be nice to us, but they may also want to do things to us, like keep us as pets or eat us or whatever. But I think the Palladians are more interested in disclosure, and I think the Draconians just don't care. They just want to use us as
Here's
cattle.
The thing that's interesting. This quote is over 100 years old. It was written before 1917 because it's before they blew up his tower.
Right.
Okay. Because it's saying that flying machines and ships propelled by electricity transmitted without wire will cease to be a wonder in 5 years or 10 years. I would say 5 if
Right.
it weren't. So that was over 100 years ago. Where's our flying machines? That's the
Yeah.
question.
Well, we have. Right.
I mean, without what,
So.
I mean, he's talking about everybody would have one, not just.
Right.
Right. He's not talking about the commercial airlines.
So this might seem a little non sequitur, but I want to tie it into. So if Tesla and Q are at least similar type of operators, they do have a different flavor in some ways. One could be the other, or vice versa. And I know we haven't truly gotten there on this show, but you've gotten all the way to equivalency, like Tesla is Q on some other shows.
Yeah.
And we can talk about that to whatever degree you want to. But if let's just say,
I wouldn't see. Here's the thing:
Is
it
that-
gets kind of. He's not.
not identical.
Well, yeah, it's not the same. He's the mastermind behind.
Right. That's a way better, and that's what I was stumbling around. So,
Yeah.
in other words, Q might be even just a casual side project that Tesla needed to do to achieve a bigger project.
That, or somebody else may have named it that.
Right. Yeah, fair enough.
But the mastermind behind it, it may be his invention. Or it could be his invention. It could be his too, though. It could be.
Right.
All I know is he for sure, in my mind, is, and I feel I've shown enough evidence that he is the mastermind. I mean, even the
Fair enough. Well, and
Well,
you've taken him all the way to ascended master status on other shows I've heard, which I'm not going to disagree with.
Yeah.
I'm going to stay a little Art Bell and stay on this side of that, just so that I'm not disingenuous with other groups of people that I hang out with and talk to. And it's not that I'm holding back. I'm moving slowly, if that can make sense.
Yeah. No, I get it. But yeah, his quote tells me that, his patent tells me that,
Right.
So just, it's.
Well, what I can do is I can make room for referring to Tesla as an ascended master if I'm allowed to say that we can discuss the terminology ascended master at a future time, and then I can just straight up agree, leave a little wiggle room for what I'm going to want to do. And I'm going to want to save a special place for the person of Jesus. Right. So
Actually, there's a quote here that might actually, hold on a second. It's one I haven't read. Let's see. I think it's on this other list I have mine. So let me go down. So I have 2 lists of quotes here on this thing, part 2. Okay, so here's an interesting one. Okay, remember the when you see the Anunnaki with the wristwatch and the handbag, the man bag?
right.
This quote. Power can be, at no distant date will be, transmitted without wires for all commercial uses, such as lighting of homes and the driving of aeroplanes. I have discovered the essential principles, and it only remains to develop them commercially. When this is done, you will be able to go anywhere in the world, to the mountaintop overlooking your farm, to the Arctic or the desert, and set up little equipment that will give you heat to cook with and light to read by. This equipment will be carried in a satchel, not as big as an ordinary suitcase. In years to come, wireless lights will be as common on the farms as ordinary electric lights are nowadays in our cities. He's referring to a handbag,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're going to want to tell time when you're traveling.
Right.
Have a watch. He's telling you what, in those ancient pictures, those are showing you what the common man had, not the gods.
I see the handbag. Where's the watch?
With the it doesn't say that.
Okay, but yeah, it's similar. I see the handbag for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, but the watch is just
Another interesting version of the similar type thing.
well, I mean, we know he has the Q clock,
Right.
So, I mean,
Right. Yeah.
tell
So
me.
when you read that, like I'll confess that I still even do this to this day. I consume a lot of the second, third, fourth generation Fallout of the Walt Disney sort of whole jam, right? And I consume it knowing that it's totally infected with intentional stopgap, slowing down. When I read that paragraph, Tesla Quote 102, which I've never really read before that I remember, I suddenly think of all those fantastical Disney versions of this, which are essentially limited hangouts designed to keep you from getting there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, because they show that to you, telling you that it's fantasy, not telling you the truth that it's reality.
Right. Now, the other thing I want to do really quick, and this is for all the homies that ever hear this, I cannot help myself from asking this. I'm a closet. You'll figure it out when I ask this. I noticed he didn't say the Antarctic. I'm totally trolling, but there's a lot going on in Antarctica. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. So but this just tells me, because like I said, because also on near those pictures with the Anunnaki with the handbags, there's also like looking like, I think there's even ships looking like ships or something in the same image. Let's see if we can find one that I'm talking about. You know what picture I'm talking about, right?
Say it again. I was looking at the chat for a second. I got a little distracted.
Anunnaki handbag.
I don't know if when you show it to me, I'll tell you if I've seen it. I'm drawing to mind what it may look like. I'm not sure I've actually seen. Merce.
A handbag.
Officer, stop. That man stole my European man's handbag. I think that was from Friends. May have been Seinfeld. I think it was Seinfeld, actually.
This is the image I'm talking about.
Let me see it.
All these ones. Open link.
Yeah, I remember that. I have seen that one. Yep.
Here, so I can zoom in now. So like here. So here's the handbag. And here's the watch.
Yeah.
So this is showing what the everyday man had. I think it wasn't showing just what the gods had, because he's describing a day in our golden years, golden age of enlightenment in the future. So basically, people always talk about, this is a quote I haven't been able to, I don't think I've shown Belushi this or other people, but when everybody ever says, I think it's going to take, if anybody ever says it's going to take more than 5 to 10 years to do anything, I want to pull this quote out to them and shove it and say, look, read this. You really think it's going to take 5 to 10 years?
Right.
After what this man's trying to tell you.
Well, okay, that kind of slightly opens in my mind up to something I've been formulating in little bits as we've been talking. So, do you remember when we mentioned fentanyl a minute ago?
Yeah.
And Trump hits that note fentanyl a few times every now and then. So he's kind of taught his people a gut reaction to have about fentanyl. I think he's taught me to have a gut reaction about fentanyl. Does one come to mind for you that he may have hammered?
Well, I have, because I'm a nurse, I've dealt with it.
But I mean specifically from Trump.
Yeah, I mean, it's something he wants to focus. Yeah, I mean.
Well, he ties it to China.
Yeah, well, and it's causing a lot of people to have to leave meat suits here. In this.
Right. It is. It's a dangerous tool or weapon. But I want to tie it back into this, or kind of close to where we were here. But just speaking about Trump, like, he's at least associated with some really, really smart, interdimensionally trafficking. Like, he or Barron or some of those people, or maybe Melania or all of them, know some. I mean, they must know some Palladians, right? Or whatever we want to call them, right? Or at least have some like notes left behind. He mentioned his nuclear uncle, right? Who straight up read Tesla's files and got the inside scoop.
Not just that. People don't understand this.
Yeah.
He used to work directly with and close by.
Right. Yeah. The cover story just to get you slightly in, and Trump even said, please go research my nuclear uncle. He said something along those lines.
Physicist uncle.
Yeah. Well, he actually called him in one of the speeches. I want to say my nuclear uncle.
Yeah, he might have. Yeah, he did. I remember what you're talking about.
He does weird things like that. Trump does. But so with the fentanyl, and I'm just using it as only an example. But if Trump knows all that we suspect he knows, and earlier I was trying to say Q equals, Tesla, and that was an oversimplification. There's a mesh network, right? There's what Tesla is, and he's a mesh network in and of himself. the Q team or the white hats or whatever, and then you've got Trump, and everybody might even have their own self-interest, and they're mapped out over space and time.
Well,
But
I actually went through the quotes that match the intro.
I've seen you do that. Yes.
That tie in.
Yeah. So Tesla's the mastermind behind Q is a totally fine thesis for this conversation. I'm stipulating that. I'm buying into that at least for this conversation. I actually walk around thinking that. I just don't know that I have rigorously, as deeply as you have, proved it. And I don't know. Kind of like 9/11.
But here's the thing. Yeah. I also have an open mind to know that it's possible he isn't. You know, I mean, it's
kind of like 9/11. Like I went for years kind of going, everybody that tells me, you know, don't you know it's an inside job and all that, I kind of was like, yeah, you're probably right. Like I couldn't defend that it wasn't right. But I really wasn't. And I'm not saying I'm a little more into this. I haven't had the homework time to really kind of do the deep dive rabbit hole yet, but I will. But I guess what I'm getting at is if Trump knows all this or is connected way more than I am, let's say, to some pretty cool knowledge, what's his purpose when he goes and does, for instance, not specifically, he'll sometimes he's trying to get a large number of people to automatically knee-jerk connect A to B. And I mean, is he using us? I'm okay with that, I guess, if that's what he's doing.
He lies to us. He uses us for certain things I mean, he and like I said, there's a good Trump and there's a bad Trump.
You did say that. Yes. Yeah, you did say that.
And they overlap. Our timelines overlap, meaning that was what what's his name? Oda.
Stephen Ty Turner.
What's his name?
Black Yoda.
Black Yoda. This is what he said that was very interesting. He asked a question in Salty Crackers chat the other morning.
Yeah.
His question was this: do you see a yellow sun or do you see a white sun? And then so he said, if you see a yellow sun, type 1. If you see a white sun, when you look up at the sky, press 2 or something like that in regards to that.
Right.
And then, of course, we got a whole myriad of answers, you know.
Yep.
It was like 60-40, you know, some saw yellow, some saw white. I see both, but I see more of a white than a yellow.
Okay.
What I would say.
Right.
And then he said that he said, when you walk outside, you're looking up and you're in a different world than I am.
Fair.
You know, because I'm not seeing that. And he's not saying it. I'm not saying you're wrong that you're seeing, you know, you're seeing what you're seeing. You're right. That's what you see is what you see.
Right.
You know, and that's your perception. That's what your frequency is vibrating you at. It's only able to see a yellow sun.
Mm-hmm.
If your frequency gets elevated, then you'll be able to see the white sun. If you're, you know, and such forth, and then it goes beyond that, you know, and that struck home with me because it also bring over the, you know, crossing of the timelines, the crossing of the Mandela effect too. You know?
So as the Mandela effect has been unfolding, and I'm 100%.
Mandela effect, I take it like even then its true definition.
Right.
I expand it as, you know, can overlap, like, you know.
So I was born in rural East Texas in 1968. I was born in Lubbock, but I was born in 68 and grew up in rural East Texas. And maybe it was just the way I experienced the downhill skiing of what experience can sometimes be. It was very much a one timeline world until around.
When you were born in 68 by chance?
Say again?
When were you born in 68?
June 17. Total doxing my birthday right there.
17th. I was just trying to think something.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Actually, you know what's funny? I never even really. I don't remember stopping to think about it. I got some cool. 6 is kind of creepy. You know, it's a little bit the number of a man. 5 + 1 and 17. That's a pretty good birthday. But it felt like to me one timeline. It may be because I was uneducated to see multiple timelines. But then when we started getting closer and closer to 1999, the Prince song, the 2000, the Y2K, and all that. To me, that's where, if I look back, I didn't know it at the time, but that's where I was starting to perceive multiple timelines, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's everyone's experience, or I prefer a world with less timelines. I really do. And I don't know if that's a limitation, if I'm just trying to take it easy. I'm kind of hoping we will coalesce and have less timelines than we've just recently been having.
Yeah, I mean, I know that's not going to be related or anything. I'm trying to figure out. I don't think it's on this computer.
Okay.
But yeah, I found out like 3 years ago that I had a brother I didn't know about. That
Okay.
a half brother. My mom had a kid she gave up for adoption in 1968. I don't remember the exact month but I don't know where. This is why I was asking, not just because I would think that would be you, because there's no way that's the case. But it's just kind of interesting how you were born the same year. I don't know this.
Mm-hmm.
I have to go look. I'm not sure. I think actually now I just remembered when his birthday is. His birthday is in October.
Okay.
It happened before my dad was born, like year he was, like the month he was born, close to his birthday and close to my mom's anniversary with my dad. But yeah, I thought that was just interesting. So you're the same age as he would be, which would be 4 years older than me.
Right.
Or no, 8 years older than me. My bad, 8 years older.
Right. Cool.
Or 7. He's 7. It would be, depends on 8 years.
Yeah.
I was born in 75, 7 years, I guess. Yeah, 7. Maybe he was born in 67. I could be wrong. It could be 67. I thought it was 68 because I thought my sister was born in 71. No, it would have been 67. My bad. It's 67.
Cool.
Because yeah, he's 4 years older than my sister. My sister was 4 years older than me.
What? Right. Okay. Wait. Keep talking about. I shouldn't have interrupted you.
No, you're fine. I just was. Yeah.
So let me be selfish and self-centered for a second. Do you think it's possible we could go back to less Mandela effect? Like it doesn't bother me a lot, but it kind of irritates me, if I could explain it that way.
Yeah, no problem.
No, but like Mandela effect, like, are we going to have to live with it just from here on out? It's just going to get worse, or do you have a thought about that?
I mean, no, I think it'll get less because people will start verging in together and merging into a more, on the I think basically there's going to be like a where they're going to meet, then they're going to move forward, and then they're going to still kind of separate and go their own ways. But some of the people are going to overlap and be brought into. Some will leave this one and go on to that one.
Right.
Some will go on to that one.
So it really it really is two main timelines, right?
That's what it seems like. I mean,
that's what I think too.
But see, it's probably an infinite amount.
True.
It's probably you can even maybe we manifest and materialize our own timeline. Is what it comes down.
Well, so Quantum of Conscience would agree with you, and I am going to send you that link. I got to remember to do that. I'm also going to send you. Have you come across a guy out of UC Irvine named Donald Hoffman?
Donald Hoffman, I don't.
So I'll just give you the 30-second elevator pitch of Donald Hoffman.
Oh, I wanted to go over.
Yeah.
Go ahead. No, tell me that while I look for this one quote.
So his thing, he's very much just a hardcore scientist, so it's going to irritate any woo that, and we're in a very woo mood right now.
No, I'm fine. I don't. My mood doesn't get irritated.
Right. So mine does. I clearly keep talking about it, but so he comes at it from a cognitive science perspective. He very much likes evolutionary math models, like biological evolutionary math models. And he, through a bunch of different, very, very good arguments and lab tests and evolutionary simulators and all this other stuff, basically says that a species that perceives reality as it is will be at a fitness disadvantage to the point where it will become extinct. And I'm not necessarily thinking that that's important for us to understand, because he may be seeing it from a weird angle or perspective, but his conclusion is very interesting. He says, we have an interface to a reality, but our interface is how we see that reality. So just like a desktop interface, there's not actually papers in that trash can if you drag a file over to it, but you can model it as that, and that's still effectively how it works. So the train coming on the tracks about to smash you is not a train on the tracks coming about to smash you. It's a whatever it is, and you see it as a train on the tracks coming about to smash you. And he says
it's coming. I think the better way to put it is it's energy coming towards you that's going to change you.
Right. Well, his yes, exactly. So his fundamentals or his primitives, he wants to get rid of electrons, gravitons, space, time, and all that. And I'm all happy with getting rid of that, because those have been a useful model, but they're kind of limiting. And he says that the primitives of his model is conscious agent networks. So I kind of like that. Agent, because they can impact or have a decision or make, choose a path in the environment. Conscious, because they're able to evaluate, I guess, or be aware. And then networks, because like a group of concert goers could be a network of networks of conscious agent networks. A person is a network of conscious agent networks. Like you have the conscious agent network that grows your fingernail, or is that mailbox, or various different things like that. It's a really good model, and it's very extensible, and it's I think it's got a lot of potential for like some hardcore math to kind of bring some of the woo, into some really interesting future fields of science is easily misused and becomes non-science so fast when people get a hold of it and use it as a propaganda tool. So anyway, I'll stop for a second, because did any of that make any sense at all?
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, it's like energy comes at you, and it's like a freight train. It's not gonna stop. It's gonna change something in its path, or everything in its path. That's to some extent,
So one of the things that Theoria Apophasis is really fond of is saying the cult of bumping particles, and he likes to disparage and make fun of them. That'd be like the Einsteins, and he'll always mention how Tesla pointed out that Einstein was dumb, and Einstein pointed out that Tesla was super smart. And with Tesla, he says everything is energy, frequency, and vibration. And I was really going deep into that, and I was mentally just walking around saying, we are waves, we are not particles. Then all of a sudden I hit this wall, and I'm like, I don't think I can claim that there's no such thing as fundamental particles, or that you don't go through like waves that are made from particles, like waves on an ocean, which are made from waves, which are made from particles. And then I start to see it as a fractal of both. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, I mean, he's got a quote that he talks about waves. Like, this is.
But what does he say about particles? Does he just ignore them completely?
Oh no, he talks about them.
Okay, I need to learn more about that. I will do that.
Yeah. Let me see. I think I have. Let me go to this quote that I found that I was looking for earlier.
Okay.
It was quote number 70. What the result of these investigations will be, the future will tell. But whatever they may be, and to whatever this principle may lead, I shall be sufficiently recompensed if later it will be admitted that I have contributed a share, however small, to the advancement of science.
Oh, that's cool.
So what investigations is he talking about?
Let me think.
Investigations of our time? I mean.
Yeah. So, I mean, once he discovers the rotating magnetic field, does he show up at the great party in the higher dimension, and they're like, hey, good job. Here's some cliff notes to get you started, go back to.
I mean, who knows? Yeah. I mean, it's possible. I mean, he could have, they would have been like, oh, it's not your time yet. You need to go back and finish your mission. I mean, who knows?
Right.
I mean,
that has an echo of sort of the near-death experience. You go through the tunnel, you start to see the light, and you're like, you're hitting eternal knowledge and bliss, and then you're sent back. Has a little bit of that feel to it.
Yeah, and well, there's a lot of time, and if you read his history, where he spent sick and bedridden, and sick in bed with for years, long time. He was a really sick boy when he was younger, and
yeah, he said he was wiry thin and stuff like that.
Yeah. But it made him stronger. But one of the quotes I like to read is the one where he talks about the dark night of soul, and he talks about the monsters and orgs and other unholy monsters of the dark.
Right.
So I mean, and it's this number 23. Up to the age of 8 years, my character was weak and vacillated. I had neither courage or strength to form a firm resolve. My feelings came in waves and surges and vibrated unceasingly between extremes. My wishes were of a consuming force, and like the heads of the Hydra, they multiplied. I was oppressed by thoughts of pain and life and death and religious fear. I was swayed by superstitious belief and lived in the constant dread of the spirit of evil, of ghosts, and orgs and other unholy monsters of the dark. Then all at once there came a tremendous change, which altered the course of my whole existence.
So, do you have any knowledge of when he cuts loose the superstitions? What is he cutting loose? A lot of things, probably.
Yeah, he's cutting loose that he realized what they were, that they were just a manifestation of other people who were pulling them out of getting them to be manifested and materialized into the world. And, by the indoctrination, doing it for evil. Opening up portals by that fear opens the portal to
Right.
allow that to come into the dimension.
Okay.
And
So
that is brought in by the religious and doctrines out there that have indoctrinated people, just like the dictionary does, just like the school education system does, just like the movie theaters do, just like, everything's about controlling and keeping certain things manifested for other ends other than your own.
So something I should have asked about Bigfoot, and I would almost, I vibe with Dogman a bit more than I do with Bigfoot. Like Bigfoot kind of.
Remember,
yeah,
it's one and the same.
I know. All right, so Saint Christopher. Have you ever noticed that Saint Christopher is sometimes drawn with a dog's head in old Catholic paintings?
No, but that's probably because
he's a dog man.
When I hear saint,
yeah,
I honestly think Ascended Master.
Yeah, I for sure, yeah.
So and I think that an Ascended Master, I don't think an Ascended Master can turn themselves into anything.
Okay.
So a chair,
right,
a couch, a tree.
So there are a lot of Dogman stories out there where Dogman seems menacing.
Yes.
Yeah.
But and they're real because people materialize and map it in.
Right. Okay.
It's real. So if you like Pill by the Rabbit mentioned earlier, he was on the line. If you're here, Pill, you're gonna hear me say this. I'm not talking bad about you at all. I'm just gonna bring something to your attention you might not have thought of before or been aware of. But you said the FBI person that's watching you. Now, the more you think about that person watching you, the more it is real and the more that it actually true. And that you're making that real by that thought. And the more you think it, the more it'll mess with you. And because it's a real thing, you're manifesting it to, like, you can manifest the CIA to come arrest you and take you away and lock you up.
Right.
I mean, anybody can. I'm not saying you Pill by the Rabbit in regards to that. I'm just saying that just know that you control that reality. So if you want that FBI agent to stop, only you can stop them.
Right.
By what you're allowing, by just don't say, do the opposite of that. Say, no, I don't want you around, and you're not going to be here anymore. I'm done with it. I'm fed into this, and I'm not going to feed into it anymore. And just don't even do as little as you can to imagine that it's even happening. And then think of if something happens to the phone, that it's because that's just the way the device was created to deceive our eyes and our ears. And that's coming from more of a just the updates of the phone or but that's why that Greer interview that I share on some of my stuff is very important, because it talks about there's no encryption that's going to block them from getting in to know what you're doing at all times.
Right.
I mean, you could have all the electronics ripped out of your house and just be all living on nature out in the woods. Well, you don't understand that they can tap into any leaf out there as a frequency and from that leaf.
Straight up. Well, I've heard kind of put together from Linda Paris or Deplorable McAllister is her other name.
Because if everything's energy, frequency, and vibration, then it can be tapped into.
Right. So your DNA is basically an antenna and a marker.
Yeah. Yes. I mean.
So, by the way, I should have mentioned Omazon gifted a cookie a long while back, and I just somehow missed it, and I was just kind of scrolling, realizing I was being delinquent. So, Omazon, thank you very much for that cookie.
So, yeah. So, I mean, there is quotes when he talks about particles. I was trying to find the one.
Okay. And I can do some. That's a homework assignment for me. I'm gonna dig in a little of that, because I kind of think of him as frequency, energy, vibration guy.
Okay, here's another one that I haven't shared a lot. The day when we shall know exactly what electricity is will chronicle an event, probably greater, more important than any other recorded in the history of the human race. The time will come when the comfort, the very existence, perhaps, of man will depend upon that wonderful agent.
So this is a little bit of what I was talking about earlier with Charles Proteus Steinmetz. So Theoria Apophasis is actually, so I mentioned Fractal Woman. She kind of spun off of and is a big fan of Theoria Apophasis. They both are big fans of Charles Proteus Steinmetz, and they both are also, as you know, Theoria is a huge fan of Tesla, or at least highly respectful of him.
Yes, and I would really like to show him what I know of Tesla and see what I would like to see his reaction after seeing everything presented to him.
Well, he has a really good memory, probably eidetic, so he probably knows every quote.
Yeah. But then when he here's the difference between me and him. When he reads a Tesla quote, he goes to his analytical mind.
Yes.
I read a Tesla quote, I go to my imaginary mind.
Right. Fair point. Yeah.
And I kind of go to both. Like, yeah, it's like you have to go to both.
Yes.
And you have to imagine what he's saying. What was he saying? What was he seeing when it would influence him to write that?
Right.
What's going on there?
So he's kind of trolling or hinting at things, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, for sure.
We all do that. Like I did that on Facebook for years because I didn't want to get banned, but I wanted to put information out. So I tried to hedge it a little.
Here's another one that kind of leads up to like he could be Q. Listen to this one. The scientific man does not aim at an immediate result. He does not expect that his advanced ideas will be readily taken up. His work is like that of a planter for the future. His duty is to lay foundation of those who are to come and point the way.
They almost memory hold Tesla. They came out with the Elon Musk brand to just try to mask, Tesla. And it seems like Edison was part of the forces that were trying to impede.
See, my recent thoughts on Musk was that he was not on the good team.
Agreed.
That he was, but it's possible he is. I mean, it's I'm more open minded to that. To that possibility.
Yeah.
But he at first he wasn't. He was, I think he had even been asked about him, and I forget how he worded it. Let's see if there is something that
they marked his spouse's baby creating belly area with some kind of dark symbols, if I remember right.
Yeah, and then there's some questions about his wife too.
Yep.
But then again, we have this interaction of timelines. There's a good Musk and a bad Musk out there.
Right.
There's a good.
Does that mean there's an evil me going to the bad timeline? I'm assuming I'm on the good timeline.
Sure. I mean, well, one of each. There's one.
That's dualism, right? Like that gets really.
No, I take that back.
Yeah.
Not one of each. There's one of each for each timeline, but there's an infinite amount of timelines. Sure. One of infinite amount. Yeah. Is what I would.
Okay. So if there's a sea of infinite timelines, it does seem like a couple of timelines are doing that sort of
crossing each other at times, and then
yeah. And so the ones that are really important right now would be those two ones.
Yeah, when that timeline hits again, if your frequency's changed at the next time it comes around, maybe it's gonna.
Do you see Slick Shoe asking for a link to the Greer video?
Oh yeah. We can play it if you want.
The one we were playing earlier?
No, I wasn't playing a Greer. That was Larry Gaithers.
I'm sorry. Yeah, let's watch the Greer.
The Larry Gaithers one, I don't have it. I have it uploaded to my Screencastify.
Okay.
And I don't have it uploaded to a channel.
Fair.
Yeah, or I would drop the link.
Your Screencastify is private?
What's that?
Is your Screencastify private, or is that something you posted for? Do you remember?
I could upload it to my channel later.
Okay.
And then get the link out somehow.
I mean, that guy is so like I almost felt like we were putting some bad energy out.
DM me for the link out there. DM me for that link that you want, and I'll try to get it uploaded to my alternate channel that I don't care if it gets docked there.
All right. So that was I will. Whoever wanted that link, I'll encourage them to DM you. But Slick Shoe wants the Greer video.
Yeah, the Greer video, we can play that. It's only 10 minutes. Is that cool? Or?
That sounds great. I might actually use that as a way to. You seem like you can go forever. I'll probably say let's try to. After the Greer video, I'll start to try to ask you what you're into. Only because I have some fun day job stuff to do in about 5 hours.
That's no fun.
Yep.
All right, yeah, sure. Let's play it. Let's play it. Yeah, perfect. Sure. And this is a good one because he talks about how the processes of nature work. He talks about what we have the power to do.
Cool.
Oh, but I'm gonna actually play a short video before that. This one's interesting. I like this one. I haven't played it in a while.
Right on.
I actually been meaning to play it on every stream just because like almost after like the Tesla Dove song. And it's let's see, I gotta find the Tesla, this one. Okay. This is just like a quick 90-second one.
Cool.
Not even that.
I lost my son and my wife in one day with one bad choice. People imagine things all the time. That doesn't make them real.
What makes you think imagination isn't real? Something has to be imagined before it can be created, right?
Did you teach philosophy at the home too?
I'm not making anything up. You're just dimensionally challenged.
The only thing I see with my eyes is a little girl who needs to get some sleep.
You can do better than that, Grandpa. If we're going on the road together, you need better comebacks than that.
She's one of them, isn't she? An indigo, like my son.
Haven't you explained anything to him? Yeah, he just hasn't heard me yet.
That's these kids. They're going to shift everything.
She's gifted. It's the only way I know how to explain it.
But I never believed in any of that stuff before.
Now you can.
Yeah, that looks pretty cool.
Yeah. It's not like the trailer's really good. The movie is good too, but not. Could have been better, but could have been. It's. I love that. Just that intro is awesome. The way she just like pretty much puts him in his place.
Yeah.
Puts everybody in their place. I felt anyways.
Yeah. It's like now you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I actually got chills on a couple spots on that. That was pretty good.
Yeah, I like it. But let's see. So, where was I? This way, that way. Here. Yes. Okay. So I want to go to.
I mean, you seem to collect up the people that light the chat up. Greer is getting some heat.
Yes, he's not. He's dark. He is deep state. I do know that.
Okay.
And I am. But remember, there's a good Greer and a bad Greer.
Right.
Out.
Now, do I know this Greer?
But this Greer in our timeline, last I knew, is deep state. He's got pictures as with the wall stars, but even those could be fabricated. See, people don't understand too is hit piece can be put out on anybody for anything and make you look guilty as fuck when you're innocent.
Yeah. Well, okay, that's another thing I was going to ask. So take the fentanyl thing. How do we know where it's being shipped from? I'm told it's China. Did I see it with my own eyes? Did I go to every port?
Actually, it goes. I think it goes to Mexico first.
Yeah. But I mean, like, what does that even mean to say fentanyl comes from China? You can blame the CCP for fentanyl. I mean, like, that's such a simple statement for a complex movement of a chemical across a realm. You know what I mean?
Well, and technically, if you're you're an ascended master, right?
Yep.
You can materialize and manifest anything in like anything you want. And you could be in a warehouse, right?
Right.
And you can manifest and materialize 500 drums of filled with fentanyl.
Right.
You could literally make it just like magic.
Right.
Through energy, through the process that he's going to explain right here, is how you could do it, and this is how I have had dreams of them doing this kind of stuff, to include doing this with cars, with anything. So it's like, what do they really, there is, of course, there's people that have jobs that go build cars, like those people are doing real things, but there's also, it's because our reality is materialized and manifested. I just have no doubt about that.
Right.
And like that video, I don't know if he's noticed it, but in the background of that little girl, it almost looked like I can say it, like I want to say blown out, like it looked like
it was a little washed.
Yeah, well, and that's because it's low quality recording, but also it was showing the nature around wherever was recording that was being materialized. It was showing it being materialized in real time.
Right.
By the time you get up to the tree, it can materialize, change so fast that when you touch it, it feels like a tree.
You're getting so close to now I'm forgetting his name, not Rob Skiba, not Matt. I'll remember it later. There's a guy who used to make fireworks and then he made video games, and then he says, reality is essentially like a video game, like what you were just saying. You render what you need as you need it. Like, why would the universe waste processing on something no one's looking at? Is a way to put it.
I pulled images off this new video last
Okay.
night. I'll see. I thought I did.
Yeah, I remember his name.
That is. Where is it? Oh, this would be easier to do this. Here's one of them, maybe. Yeah, this is it right here.
Okay.
Images.
And this is Greer or yours?
This is my video I just took on the way home from this Bigfoot conference. Where is it? I just got it. Here we go. All right. So this is on the road. Of course, I'm driving by.
Yeah.
But so let's look at what we have here. I'm going to zoom into this.
I can see sort of a chicken man thing.
Just look at that. So that's nature.
Yeah.
This is, look at these lines. These aren't tree limbs, supposedly. Right? But there's some holographic looking stuff going on here.
True.
It almost looks like it's like a cloud, like right, you can't see through that cloud.
Right.
It's like this is all these, it's just this rotating magnetic field that's these, it's like there's a being right here. You can almost see it's like arm is up in the air
for
here,
sure. Yeah.
head here, and it's standing right here. And
that's the giant chicken man thing, the ostrich man.
Yeah. And it's just this I'm pulling images like this off this place like everywhere. And there's like other stuff, like it looks like there's a being standing right here. I mean, they're just, but I could break down this video, and it's pretty cool because you can see how
there's a strong pyramid shape in the image.
Yeah, right here, there's a very strong straight line right here. Is this
right,
the one
and there's actually two pyramids that come off of it. I don't know if you can see my mouse, but there's that. Probably not. There's one close to where the chicken man's right shoulder would be, a leg of the pyramid coming down, but
right here,
way up in the top of the tree, there's another tree that kind of comes down on the right of the chicken man that pyramid's up.
But I have several images off of this. Let me see. I think I have more. Let me see something. This is very interesting video. I haven't finished watching the whole thing yet because I'm watching it slow motion, but it's really interesting.
Right.
This video. Did I send her anymore? Hold on. It's a different one. This is a different video, but let me see. Something. Yeah. Okay, that's not. Let's see. Again, now let's look at this one. So you see all these lines.
Yeah.
Some of them are nature, but some of them aren't. Some of these are just energetic.
Right.
Like, and you could see like the dark shaped, like what could be beings in here.
That's right.
They're just, it looks like there's one actually right down here.
I see the effect of.
See, there's just,
yeah.
But I'm just, this is just an image I pulled off of an old video that one of my favorite ones, but where did it go? There's another one.
See, I hit about a 50-50 rate. Like I can tell that there's stuff on that one, but it doesn't leap out as me as much as the other picture.
Yeah. The other
but
one,
yet, I'll keep looking.
Yeah, the other one, I'm just going to see one more thing. Okay. But that right there, see, look at that, watch. That would be the staff. Mm-hmm. It's like almost like a bear looking one.
Yeah.
Almost looks like it's got something in a headlock, or it's like a. But anyways, so there's just right here. This is the interesting part. Look at that. So this is the sun, right? Supposedly.
Yep.
Why does it look like it's on this side of the tree, though? How could the sun go through the tree?
Well, so for reasons that I can get into whenever it seems right, I feel like a lot of the things in the sky, the way we see them, is we see them more like the way we see a rainbow. Even something like the moon, which has high detail and looks very rocky in a telescope, but I think it's being rendered from our perspective locally as we need it. Does that make sense?
Yep. So here's one where you look at the clouds, they look mechanical.
Yes.
And like there's a ship in there, right there, and then hidden in the cloud. Here would be like a top of the ship.
I've taken a few interesting pictures of clouds. I tend to do that more often than anything else. I haven't taken a boatload, but I would say I've caught 3 or 4 really interesting clouds. That's interesting.
So
yeah, I learned to look at the sky some 6 or 8 years back because they don't want you to.
So look at these ships. These look like ships to me.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
they just look too, especially look at that. I mean, but people will say, "Oh, it's just clouds."
Right.
And then here, look at this. Look at that being.
Yeah. Where?
Right here. That's the head of one. That's all you're gonna see. This is a tree. There's no light in front of that. I think that's a tree. No, that's not. Hold on a second. Where is that? I forget what this is. I forget what that is. It's not a tree, but it's definitely something strange. But anyways, let's go back to the video because I know you got to get to work in the morning.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's do some Greer.
Where did it go?
And we'll take time to chat about your channel, promote your channels and stuff like that.
Heard, I would say a handful of people on Earth know, even in classified projects. It's high.
Even if somebody's deep state, you still need to listen to what they have to say.
For sure.
And that's a mistake people make. Like they don't want to go watch Charlie Ward or someone like that because they don't have a good opinion on him. Well, what if you could still learn very good information from him?
Agreed.
Even though it's which you can. I guarantee you go to watch some of his interviews, you're going to learn some interesting things. He's not.
Right.
Highly compartmented. This is really way past TS.
Oh, I know this guy. Yeah. I think,
Sexual compartmented intelligence.
Let's let it play. That's awesome. Yeah, this is good stuff.
Friends, let me listen carefully. Anyone listening, do not think you're going to be off the radar of the sector of the Intelligence Committee working tasked with this issue.
Do you think this will hit YouTube copyright? Or no
level of patents, no level.
What's that?
Should I stop the YouTube stream? Do you think they'll copyright me on this one?
Anything's possible. It's up to you what you want to do.
Yeah, I'll let it roll.
I don't know. Right in there, I think if you write certain things in there, you can help avoid that. I don't know.
Okay.
What the terminology is. Actually, I may be able to help you. I think this one guy has worded it pretty good. Let me show you what he says, and then you could determine if that's something.
Put it like in the description.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Exactly. Let's see if I can find that real quick. It's on these reaction channels.
I mean, it's destined to get killed, my YouTube channel, but might as well.
I'm surprised mine's not yet. It's gotten close, though. I'm back down to 1 strike again now, thankfully, but that won't last long, I don't think.
Well, and last I looked, I think I only had 22 subscribers, so.
I'll go ahead and play this. Hold on.
Yeah.
I'm not going to worry about that right now.
Yeah.
But there's somewhere I could send it to you later.
Cool. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So let me get back to the video. But it's kind of interesting. It kind of makes sense.
Of spy versus spy talking in gibberish code over a phone is going to frustrate their knowing everything you're doing in real time. And the only protection.
That's the important thing. There's not going to be anything you can do to stop them of knowing what you're doing in real time. Once you understand that,
there is no privacy.
There's no reason to be afraid of someone spying on you anymore.
Right.
Just have the mindset that it's happening and fuck it.
Right.
Because when you buy into it, when you fear it, then it's going to manifest the reality you really don't want, even though.
Well, and there's two. I'm not an expert at this, but my gut says that there's 2 errors you can make. One is worse than the other. One, you can fear it, and then you do start to manifest it, but you're still protected from. If you go to the metaphorical crossroads and wait till metaphorical midnight and sign the metaphorical Faustian bargain and drink the metaphorical adrenochrome live during an SRA, then they can really get you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure. He's probably done that a few times.
Yeah, right. Yes. I shouldn't laugh, but that's my reaction. Like, what is that? It's not even funny. It's horrible, but the way you delivered it just tickled my funny bone. But
yeah, well, I mean, he things I've heard of this guy is not good stuff.
Yeah,
but he says good stuff. So
yeah,
not like, yeah.
Well, and does he use the truth or community to get us to focus on certain things? So, like, you're
exactly.
You're 100% right to say we should. Art of war, you got to study the enemy, right? But also what you stare at, you can start to take on its attributes and properties. So you have to be really cautious about that as well. But go ahead.
There is strategic protection, which is massive disclosure and public transparency of everything you are doing.
See, that's smart.
The way to get killed doing this stuff is to do it secretively. If you do it in full view, you're completely safe. Why? Because the people who are in these covert programs, the last thing they want to do is be caught red-handed in a wet works operation. Wet works are assassinations. A wet works operation with the whole world watching. That's why I'm still alive.
I'm not done yet, but
yeah, I like that you paused that because chat's giving me a really good, to make it fair use, we just comment as we go.
Okay, I gotcha. That works. So what he's saying here is kind of deceitful in a way because if the deep state wants to get you framed for something,
yes,
they're going to do it and not leave a trail behind. And
right.
Period. I mean, that's what they want. Unless you set the trap for them, which you can by manifesting it, meaning the trap as in build that mental reality in your mind and don't like you do when you when you fear
fixes echo.
Awesome.
Yeah, we should Pilled, if you can hear this, come on in. And the orb picture, I'm doxing. I don't know if I'm doxing,
but I mean, you could build defenses against certain things, you know.
Well, so when it comes to that, like, you know, so I used to be kind of new agey way back in the day. I would sort of do the one direction, you know, seal off the bedroom and then look at the ceiling and go the other direction and all that other stuff. And it's all the stuff that, you know, the like the guy on the left of the screen of the first video you shared, I forget his name. I'm so bad with names, but he would.
There you go. Yeah, I'm bad with it. I'll forget it again.
He would say, "Oh, you're just practicing witchcraft and you're doomed to hell." And, you know, I'm like, I did stop doing things like that. But, like, I don't feel like I'm smart enough to go up against like a Greer with his own rules lawyering. Like some of the people that I've like Quantum of Conscious and Linda Paris. These are some people I might slowly start sending you links and stuff like that. They'll do prayers like, or they'll say manifest things like, I don't believe in your stupid, you know, maritime law, but what little I do know of it, I'm going to sit there and quote it against you. So you need the best of both worlds. You need to be covered by that flexible grace, but you also can attack them with you can fight fire with fire, but there's something about, I'm just trying to say, I don't feel comfortable to say I can be a fireman. Does that make sense?
Well, I mean, you want to be able to get to the point where you're comfortable with anything you say.
Well, I am, but it's because I lean on a higher authority than me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but in the reality of things, you are your own highest authority.
See, that's where yeah. Okay.
I mean, yes, there's a higher authority as in, but we're one with him.
We're certainly brought into full and complete communication and connection with.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like, okay, so God created imagination was created somehow,
right?
But then God created other things with imaginations to do what? To imagine.
Yes, absolutely.
So he didn't create that for it not to be used.
Oh, agreed. Completely agreed.
You know, but see, our imagination is his imagination, which means that you know, what does your imagination do? It creates things.
Yes.
So that means that we're all creator beings.
I am extremely close to full agreement with you. There's one thing I've noticed is
I'm not saying that we're all in a roundabout way, and we are kind of all God, but the same God. And we're not
right.
separate. We're all equal. We all have the same power, and that power, the only thing that makes us all equal in power, the blind deaf man with no arms, legs, or or
Yes.
feeling or taste or touch or sound, nothing, right? Can't hear, whatever. He has the same power as me and you, and it's just as strong, and he can do just as much damage with his imagination to evil, to do good, to ascertain truth for himself, just by feeling the energetic. It's beyond feeling, because it's not like the feeling like you touch something to feel. It's a different type of feeling. It's like it's the vibration is what you're honing in on. The rotating magnetic field is what that is. They can feel the rotating magnetic field, and that rotating magnetic field leads them to the truth.
Yeah, I'm with all of that, and that is good. One thing I want to comment on is people that have extremely similar perspective or worldview or whatever word you want to use can rapidly, I think faster. Yes, Two Rivers, you've been rocking it. Can rapidly find where they don't have exact same perspective yet, or potentially yet. So I'm trying not to move too quickly to the things that I'm like, that makes me want to say X, right? So, but just putting a little taste out there, and I think we have extremely. Again, language is a barrier, I think. I really feel sometimes.
It is, yeah. And like, that's one thing I've never been real good at is communication verbally.
Yeah, I think we all struggle. They trap us. I actually start to think English is one of the worst languages, and it was invented to keep us, and it was sent out as the one to use for all commerce, just so that we would all just go, okay,
but
fine.
Here's the thing that people don't realize. I bet you if somebody did this research, I bet you they would come up. I haven't even done it, and I have just this thought in my mind that this is what they would find out. If you were to get a dictionary from different parts of the U.S. or different parts of the world that were written at the same time, they will and get like a book, what's taught in the classrooms, and say this state, Florida or whatever, versus the state over somewhere else on the other side of the country, that they would be teaching two different things. So somebody moved from one location to the next, that their defined and dictated things, terms, knowledges would be slightly different than the other. If you were to compare the dictionaries, a matter of where they come from.
Right.
And that's what they do with the religions. It's all about conquer and divide, division by design. Right?
Well, yeah, they want you divided, right?
And the best way to do that is to have everybody have a different definition on what something means. That's how come you can get an email at work. 20 people can read the email, and there'll be 10 different interpretations of that email and what the email meant and said.
Right.
And it's like, that's the division by design. All of them are right on what they read and how they interpreted it.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Because their imagination, what they imagine is their reality. And that's what I mean by imagination is reality. Because what you imagine is your reality. Period.
Yes, well, right. And that is absolutely true, because you can't experience anything other than what you're handing yourself through experience, right?
Exactly. That's the point. That's why in order to change that, if you don't think these interdimensional beings are real, well, only way to change is to think, well, maybe they are real. Maybe I need to look into this a little more.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I need to see why this bothers me so much.
Well, but maybe yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I mean, that's the kind of approach one should maybe be taking.
Well, to tie it into to Steve Greer, for example, and what he was just saying, and what you were pointing out, which is you don't even need a cell phone. You can be 100 miles from the nearest technology, and if they want to find out where you are, they can just say, oh, there's a DNA person over there. Oh, it's that one, and they can do it from a distance. I'm thinking that's what you're saying.
Yeah, well, yeah, of course. I mean,
it's
because these that's another thing about an ascended master, because a lot of these, deep state people are ascended masters that are good ones,
Right.
And they
like the
can
whites, the white hats.
They can read your mind, like what you're thinking at all times. That's what these beings out in the real, nature and are all around you.
Right.
They have to do that in order to keep that reality manifested and materialized.
So thinking about kind of that angle on Steve Greer,
we're going to talk about what I'm talking about right now too.
So okay, sure. Let's play it then. Yeah.
But He's not going to say it. You'll understand.
We have to figure out how to move this, or I have to pass this on to a generation, because, you know, I won't be around for more than another 30 or 40 years. But we need people to understand what the sciences are, because this is the biggest change in the history of the human race. Every CEO and high-tech person and billionaire I've met with wants to do the technology, monetize it, have patents, keep it secret, do the R&D in secrecy, like you're developing another piece of rubbish like this cell phone. This is junk. It's of no real significance at all. Not going to change the world. It's a telephone that you can talk on like in the early 1900s, except it's wireless using the same frequencies of a radio or what have you. It's nothing. It's nothing. Trillions of dollars into nothing. So the paradigm of doing this as a intellectual property and secret, the only way you're going to get that out is if you convince this other hardcore element within the intelligence community and corporate world that they should give up thousands of trillions of dollars of asset-based utilities and coal and oil so that this happens, and they don't want to do that. And believe me, there's no Bill Gates can't take on this multi-trillion-dollar element. Bill Gates has no money at all compared to these guys. What can take them on? The masses of people knowing about it. The lab doing it is live streamed on the internet. It's done fully open source. And the instant you hit the sweet spot in the resonant frequencies of a free energy device, the entire world knows it, and dozens of academic centers reproduce it in real time. You squeeze the toothpaste out of the tube so hard and so fast, no one can put it back in, and the whole world knows about it at each step. Do you want to know how each of these things? Should we get into that? Because this is actually a consciousness-assisted technology.
I'll listen to you for a second, but when he talks about what the ATs have the abilities to do, this is when he's going to go into. He's not going to say it, but I'm telling you what he's saying. He's telling you the processes of nature and how nature works.
Right.
Nature is the 3D, 4D, 5D printer you're going to hear him talk about.
Yes, and I've watched this before, but hopefully some people are seeing this for the first time. So I don't want to comment too much, but I'm thinking it might help for fair use copyright principles.
Yeah.
But just the quick comment might be, is he? I mean, when somebody says, "Hey, you should do X," well, I mean, he should set up the lab and be one of the labs doing this. And doesn't he? Do you know if he's done that? Has he begun?
I don't know.
Okay. I mean,
I'm sure
he may just be wanting us to do it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think we're all consciousness assisted technology.
Right.
We're all.
So basically, by him standing in that room and saying that, he's actually doing what he's saying to do.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. It's fascinating.
Yeah. So
okay, cool. Yeah.
This microphone and all this stuff has been, we cut down a tree for this. The metal was dug out of the earth, Neanderthal-like, and smelted down and made into metal. And then it's riveted together in bolts and screws. Transdimensional interstellar civilizations, which means the ones that are here and have exceeded the speed of light, have mastered the sciences of transdimensional manufacturing. To wit, they are able to create a standing resonant sonic energy field that is almost like an architectural blueprint of something, like 3D printing, but this is like 4 or 5D printing. Get it? And in that resonant field, then materialize the object, the spacecraft, the piece of clothing from the transdimensional interface, energetic interface.
Right.
With
it means the construct in the Matrix movie.
Space-time matter. So that the molecules, the atoms, the structures, everything in that is coming through into this dimension of 3D from that deeper interface from another dimension, an energy field, and it just materializes it. Now, the word materializes, no one thinks what that means. It's to make material, but you're assembling it from these elementals. I call them the elementals that are subatomic, and then way in past the even 0 point energy field, which is infinite energy, as Tesla said. But in that pluripotent state, you can recruit pure gold, pure platinum,
which means they don't need to mine it here.
Metal.
Yeah, no, that's all deceit. Like they could just materialize.
So I watched this before. I've seen him elsewhere. He does not seem bad in this video to me.
Yeah, me either. Not in this video.
So I guess I haven't seen the ones where he seems creepy.
There's not probably very many. The things that the deceit that you can find, the way I can explain a deceit way he's deceitful is, or not deceitful is like, yeah, he wants us to, if there's like an alien attack that he talks about that is going to happen, that's going to be a fake attack by the deep state. Right. I think he's setting that narrative because the intergalactic force that Tesla is called in, that's here to fight, are the ones that are going to be attacking. So he wants us to band with them to manifest a defense against them, instead of realizing that they're here to save us.
Right. Okay. So
that's where I go with
so to date, so far, I've been planning, and I'm open to changing my mind, but I've been planning to if a little green man from Mars shows up, well, not if, but when, because I think I pretty much agree that it's coming, right? Whether it's just whether it's Project Bluebeam or whatever it is. Did you see Mars Attacks with Tim Burton?
Now, there's a good interview on Journey to Truth just had the other day. That guy that was into the big skeletons.
Okay, yeah.
I forget his name. They just interviewed him recently.
Okay.
But I'd go watch that interview because it's some interesting thing about Project Bluebeam and the technology that's in there, meaning that they could pretty much they have the technology to where they can materialize a ship out there. You can go out there and physically touch it and then think that it's real when it's really just an illusion. And then they have the technology for you to get you to think that it's real when it's not.
Right. So you know how what's her name in Poltergeist said, "Don't go into the light."
Yeah.
So this is the game of, it's just like the end of a Scooby-Doo, and you got to pull the mask off of, well, which one's the evil one? They both look the same. I mean, I might just say, all right, fine, I'll doom all of the human race. I'm not playing that game. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to just save time by sounding childishly petulant. I don't really feel that way, but as a shortcut, I'm just expressing it that way.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I'm on Tesla's side more than on this guy's side, and I think you've explained it really well. If Tesla says X is a good guy, I'm going to believe him more than I'm going to believe Greer. And if they're on opposite sides of the fence, I'm then going to conclude that Greer needs to be watched like a hawk. So I agree with all of that, but it makes me wonder and worried about, hold on, is V the Visitors, like where if a space alien looks like a lizard, I'm going to be not wanting to be friends with it.
Well, there's good and bad in everything. That's the one thing people don't get either.
Right.
Or they do get, but then they keep forgetting about very easily.
Right.
And I catch myself doing this too. There's going to be good reptilians out there. There's going to be good lizards out there. There's going to be good.
I've heard that. Yeah. I do struggle with that, with good forked tongue Satan garden walkers. That's deeply ingrained.
But that's something that evil wants you to think. So you don't so you can't tell the difference. You tell the difference by its energetic vibration, by its rotating.
So that goes to Stephen Ty Turner's pay attention to your heart chakra.
Yeah. Yes. Pay attention to that. Pay attention to, your work on yourself and your ability to not watch a video that somebody shows you and that's showing you that this virus has got all this crazy stuff in it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not saying it doesn't. I'm not saying it doesn't at all.
Right.
I'm not saying things out there. Those things are there because but manifested and materialized them to be there.
Right. See, that I'm with.
but we can manifest them and materialize them to be taken out of there too.
Agreed.
That's
Or we
my
can manifest some ivermectin from a pharmacy a town over and get rid of the spike proteins that way, right?
or if that's I mean
You could choose your path, right?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you can
And
beam them out with your mind, or they were never there with your mind because you changed timelines.
it's just the sky's the limit.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Not the limit.
I'm
Not
okay
not
with
the limit. I mean, the sky is not the limit.
right.
Imagination
That's a good
is.
point.
Imagination has no limits.
Well, so why am I putting myself in this imaginative story where I'm now going to have to pick between two lizards and they both look evil and one of them's good?
Well, that's the only thing. Just because something I'm glad you brought that up.
Okay.
The most important things I could ever say to you is just because something looks evil does not mean it is.
Fair. What about if it's doing something that's wrong?
That's different.
Okay,
That's
fair.
It's evil.
See, I think we have common ground there.
What if it's doing something that's right?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like that show, The Goonies, Chunky.
I never saw Goonies. I know.
Have you seen Chunky, the picture of him?
No.
I'm gonna show you real quick
Okay.
just because it's easier to show the picture without having to watch the movie.
Cool.
But this is when this is what they're referring to when you hear about Chunky. Image of Chunky from the Goonies. Or like even just like the Elephant Man is another one. Not Chunk. Was it not Chunky? It was Baby Ruth. Let's try that way. Image of Baby Ruth. Man from the Goonies. Let's see what happens then. There you go.
Okay, that's Chunky
Yeah. Or this is Chunk.
or Chunk.
I
Okay.
think he called him Chunky. I don't remember if he called him Chunky, but this guy is like, he has like a Baby Ruth, and he sees him and he's scared at first, and then he offers him a Baby Ruth. He says, "Baby," like tries to get him to say Baby Ruth,
Right.
to say it. But yeah, that's what he looks like.
I mean, yeah, I think I can get past this kind of challenge.
And then he gets him, and then he unties him from the chair and does good. He looks like he would not be good guy.
Yeah. All right, fair. I mean, maybe one thing we can probe if we get a chance to talk again, which I'm hoping we do, is well, we need to get some definitions of, if I'm going to say in one timeline there's a good version of Greer and an evil version in another timeline or something like that. What do good and evil mean in that context? And we don't have to answer that now, but that's something I'm thinking about.
Yeah, and that's something you have to think about. Here's how you simplify things.
Yep.
Is positive and negative.
Sure.
That's it. They'll always lead you to follow the energy frequency.
All right.
Vibration. It'll
So
always lead you.
what's the when I see positive and negative, I see an inverted image can be formed from an image. Is that fair?
Sure. I mean,
So frazzled. I'm sorry. This is on YouTube. The drip that experiences frazzliness. You know what I'm talking about?
yes.
What's the inverted image of that?
Wait, I'm trying to think of the.
It's where Hillary is on the island or in one of the hallways on camera, and she's with Abedin, and there's a young female also there.
Okay, what's the inversion on that one?
Yeah, what would be the inversion of that event or that occurrence?
That one Hillary in the good timeline stops the event from happening, maybe.
Okay. That's reasonable. I guess I thought I was asking a super good question, but you're right. That's an easy question to answer. Fair. Okay, cool. I think I want my scapegoat, right? Like, so ancient Israel would take once a year and they would take all the sins of the nation and they would put it, I can't remember exactly if they put it on both goats or just one. They would send one goat out to the wilderness to get lost, and the other one would be part of the slaughter, and they would cook it up and it would smell good, right?
Yeah.
Burn it in the fire. So I think I'm looking for that. I want all the evil Hillarys to be put in a bucket and gotten rid of.
Yeah, and that's a fine way to look at it. And
Okay.
a fine way to you can manifest that,
Right.
as and get others.
Well,
encourage
I think
others.
we've been spending 5 years, about 3 to 4 years as a team trying to manifest that, right?
Yeah. And I mean,
All right, cool. Let's hit some more Greer.
Yeah,
You got some more Greer in you?
So why don't we just do this? We'll wrap it up here, and we'll finish with the last 4 minutes of this.
Perfect.
Because I got to get going too myself.
Fair.
Actually. That'll work. So then, and now I'd be happy to come back. No problem.
Thank you.
I enjoyed our conversation.
Cool.
Hopefully you did too.
Absolutely.
All right. So this and keep in mind, this is still talking about our future to come and what's going to happen when Tesla free energy is unleashed upon the world.
Right. Okay.
And just remember a quote by Nikola Tesla. It'll be at first a feeble spark. I mean, at first it would be like a feeble spark, next a flickering flame, and then a mighty blaze, ever increasing in speed and power.
Like the ascension we're going through now.
Yep. So here we go.
Right on.
And then and
then we'll wrap it up. Yeah.
And biologicals, what have you. So you can then manifest that.
Oh, one more thing. I like to end it. I mean, you can end it at your show how you want, but I'm going to leave this quote for you to read, actually, and then what you want to do after that, you can. But this is I like to end my show like this with that's not the one I want to get about it, but I guess go here. With this quote by Nikola Tesla, number 51. Because this is what manifesting our future world to be. And everyone that reads this quote says, it sounds like socialism. That's the definition of socialism.
Jesus was bordering the early church in Acts was pretty much communism, almost exactly.
Well, the thing is does communism and does socialism include release of 7,000 or 6,000 patents and to include free energy for the world?
Right, exactly.
Again, people are resisting revolutionary ideas. This is the one that goes really good with the Intel drop too. All right, so let's do this. Okay, I'll play this, and then after this is over, I'll open that up, and then it's all yours.
I'm trying to articulate something that's a very advanced science in lay terms so that you can follow it. But going back to this concept of consciousness-assisted technology, so if you're connected and you see what you want to manifest, you can connect to a technology that creates this resonant and deep sonic field that then materializes that object. So not initially, but say, I don't know how many years into the future, we're not even going to need to be having mining operations or manufacturing or anything that damages the earth. It will simply be this kind of high-tech 4D, 5D manufacturing. Forget 3D manufacturing. Look at it this way. Does everyone know what the internet is? You know how it came about? No, it wasn't Al Gore. It was DARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Administration, and the Department of Defense developed it. By the way, they still run it, own it. But the internet, which is really very open source, everyone can get online for free, right? Or you pay a subscription. But the internet itself is free. So what I'm trying to have these folks understand is let's do this as in place of DARPA, because the government is not going to do this ever. Therefore, there is no equivalent of a DARPA to do this for us. Therefore, let us create our own organization and entity that takes the place of DARPA to create this open source, 0 point free energy platform where it's shared openly. And then that same group would then be able to take that knowledge and do all the thousands of vertical and horizontal applications. This thing, you use it for a little while, it's dead. What if it had a miniaturized ZPE, solid state system in it, and there was no battery in it, or a tiny little one, just as sort of a discharging release of energy? It never has to be plugged in. Your PC never has to be plugged in. Your refrigerators manufactured ships from the factory with a motor. It has a motor in it now, but the ZEEP is a zero-point energy motor. But the basic energy source and how it works needs to be open source. Does this make sense to folks? Just like the internet is open source. And I'm trying to convince people who are high net worth CEOs, individuals, and also inventors to leave behind this spook model of keeping an intellectual property, have it a trade secret, we'll be so cute, we're going to outfox the secret government, we're going to take the patent for it and divide it into 100 patents and they won't know what we're doing. By the time you've had that thought and it's emanated from your cortex, classified projects know that's what you're going to do. And I'm not kidding. Because they have technologies that are at that level of spyware. What you have just heard, I would say a handful of people on Earth know, even in classified projects. It's highly compartmented. This is really way past TS-SCI, top secret special compartmented intelligence.
That's fairly interesting stuff, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
And that part rings true. But like I said, the only thing that doesn't ring true with me is this alien stance, as in it's going to be the deep state attack on us. I think it's going to be, I think it could start that way, but I think that it's that when that happens, the good guys are here waiting to take them out, and that we need to manifest them doing just that and not the other way around.
Yeah, that's reasonable. I mean, I my fairy tale version, and that doesn't mean I don't think it's true, is there are non-human, other dimensional sentient beings, and some of them are bad and some of them are good, right? The Bible says angels and fallen angels. That fits that paradigm perfectly, right? So that's there. There's a war between them, and we can go in either direction individually, or So I'm basically agreeing.
Yeah, so I'll start. Oh, here, let me. I'll read if you want. Do you want?
No,
to
I'll read it.
quote?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. And
if you're into it, did you want to read it, or do you want me to?
You go ahead. I've read this thing a million times.
51.
Manifesting it together. That's good.
All right, let me read it. Out of this war, the greatest since the beginning of history, a new world must be born. A world that would justify the sacrifices offered by humanity. This new world must be a world in which there shall be no exploitation of the weak by the strong, of the good by the evil, where there will be no humiliation of the poor by the violence of the rich, where the products of intellect, science, and art will serve society for the betterment and beautification of life, and not the individuals for achieving wealth. This new world shall not be a world of the downtrodden and humiliated, but of free men and free nations, equal in dignity and respect for man. Nikola Tesla. Yeah, that's a good quote.
Yeah, and we know he's not talking about World War I or World War II, because this world never existed since those. He's talking about this war.
Right. Yeah. I have attempted to manifest as much ascension as I can get out of the like I said, it started as early as not even late, leading up to 1999 to me. And I feel it's going full gangbusters. I kind of suspect in the next few months it might start taking on a smoother pace, though. A little bit
Check out
less.
this shirt I got at this Bigfoot conference. It's got a Bigfoot with Da Vinci Code.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
I thought that was cool.
So what do we need to know about your upcoming few days as far as your channels? If you want to pop that in real quick, or if you're super tired.
I'm gonna be going live tomorrow after TikTok show, whenever that is. That he never has a set time. He tries to say he does, and then he ends up.
I
sticking.
know.
But I'm guessing, or Severe. Severe goes. I'll wait till his show's over.
Cool.
So it'll probably be around 9:30, 10, anywhere between 9 and 10:30 or so.
All right.
10:07. I try to go at combination of 17, number 17, like so 10:07, 17, or that's when I try to set my streams.
Cool. Well, okay. You're sleepy too?
Yeah. Well, not too much right now. I just got something I got to get.
Got to get some stuff done.
Yeah.
Anything else before I start figuring out how to close this up?
No, I think that's all I got for you
All right,
tonight.
cool. Our
Yeah,
next
I'll come back. Let me know next time you want me.
That'll be awesome. I mean, to me, I feel like given what we did, what we achieved here, I might need X number of, I mean, I don't want to put a limit on it, but I might need a few weeks before I've gathered up enough to really feel like I can pose you, not that we have to do a 3 hour. This was a pretty long one. We could do shorter ones, but I'll ping you every now and then just so you don't think I've forgotten about you. But
if one time you want to go over just the manuscript and how I applied those patents. And
we could do that.
Or until with the quotes or
But I mean, we can also look and see how much exposure some of your projects got on my tiny little channel. Maybe hopefully we'll get you some new people interested in, and we can see an effect from that. But wherever is best for whatever stories you have, because what we're doing is, you've been doing it for a lot longer. I've been getting ready to do it, right? And there's a wave happening. Like there was the first wave, then there was the next wave. There seems like you can feel the heartbeat happening. There's going to be a lot of eyeballs coming in the direction of the places where you hang out and the places that I've decided to come join you guys and hang out here, and places like it. So it's an expansion time. I think coming up. It's already been an expansion time as far as more eyeballs, more people, more. So anyway, you see where I'm going with that.
I'm gonna start breaking down a lot more video live streams again. Like a lot. Like, I mean, and I have a new way to show that stuff. I've been planning it, and the video I got last night recording on the way home from this Bigfoot conference, I'm gonna use that, and another one I have like that. I'll start making more like that. Cool. It's easier to show how fast these beans move and transform, and it's just amazing what I'm gonna show.
That's awesome. All right, cool. So I'm kind of inclined. I think what I'll do is let me stop sharing Zoom.
Yeah, and I'm gonna have to get going. But thank you.
You head out, and I'll do a wrap up. It'll take 30 seconds, and then that'll be the end of the stream. Thanks a bunch.
Thanks for showing up, everybody.
Yeah.
Come back.
That was Our Cloaked Unseen World for a marathon session. And okay, so now I can change back to. Let's go back to. That's the Zoom meeting screen. Let's get into full screen camera. Does that not show? Because Zoom owns my camera. So bear with me. This is me practicing how to get out of. I'm going to have to come up with faster ways to do that. That was pretty fun, though. I gotta say. Can I get this bad boy? I may not be able to get my camera back going. Really want to. Deactivate. Activate. Yes. Okay. Okay. So this is how I'd want to go. Outro. Let me do the. Where? All right. Think. Be our tagger, and then we'll fade out, and that'll be the end of that. And I'll check the chat. Well, here, let me. Two Rivers heard that. Let's check real quick for anything. Hey, Kiz. Thanks for that note. And try this. Bye. I'll see you guys Wednesday at 11. Okay, let me just quickly say what we're doing Wednesday at 11. Wednesday at 11, we're doing, it's going to be called 9D Nation. Put a link on, it'll be multicast to the 4 different channels. and it'll start at 11 p.m. Central on Wednesday. It will be 2 different things. One thing for a while, and then switch to a complete other thing for then on. First thing it'll be is the last 13 years worth of digging that I didn't even know I was doing, condensed down into little chunks. It may or may not have calls. I really don't know. Still developing it, but it launches either this Wednesday or next Wednesday. I think it's going to be this Wednesday at 11. So with that, I will see if I can. It's not right. Capture. Oh, because I'm playing the wrong thing. I need the. That's the bread pill intro. See? I can do it now. Here we go. This will be our outro, same as our intro. I'll see you on Wednesday.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Epistemology for Fun and Profit, where woo meets goo, exclusively on thefoxhole.app.